Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is John Campea. Awesome honor and privilege to have you guys joining me here on this special live video that we're doing here this morning, depending on where you live. For me, it's this morning. For maybe where you are, it's this afternoon. We're here to talk about the panel that just happened at Star Wars Celebration in Chicago, Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. We got a title now, The Rise of Skywalker, the panel, the trailer, all that kind of stuff. Now, I'm going to give you guys my initial brief thoughts. I'll give you my brief thoughts because then what I really want this video to be and this morning to be about is what you guys have to say. And we're going to go over to the live chat. You guys can fire in some stuff on the live chat there. And we'll get to that in just a second. I've got a little bit of mixed emotions. I'm going to tell you right up front, a little bit of mixed emotions on this thing. I felt one way kind of about the panel. I felt another way about the trailer. Let's talk about that for a second. And we'll get to the trailer and the title in just a minute. Let's start with this. The panel itself. Sorry. For the most part, I thought the panel was pretty underwhelming, which is fine. It was just a panel. There were a couple of highlight moments, though. Billy D. Williams coming out on stage, and that was great when he came on stage, but the line of the day went to Billy D. Williams when Stephen Colbert, which, by the way, I had no idea Stephen Colbert was going to be hosting. I thought that was an interesting choice, getting Stephen Colbert to be in there and do the hosting. So I thought that was interesting. So anyway, highlight of the panel for me, Stephen Colbert asked Billy D. Williams, he goes, did you find it challenging finding Lando again? And Billy D. Williams is, finding Lando again? He's been with me all along. And I thought that was the best line of the entire panel. Having Billy D. Williams, find Lando again? He's been with me all along. That was just a great, awesome moment. Couple of other awesome moments. Incredibly heartwarming to see the reception that Kelly Marie Tran got. That was awesome to see. That was Star Wars fandom at its best. And I thought that was great because when they announced all the cast members coming out, she got the biggest pop. And then when they got to talking to her, obviously the biggest pop, not just from the audience, but from the cast as well. I thought that was really cool to see. So that's the Star Wars fandom being at its best right there. Considering she was on the receiving end of the Star Wars fandom being at its worst for a period of time. But that was an incredibly great moment to see. Also, Jonas, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing your name, the new Chewbacca. First of all, giving out a shout out to Peter Mayhew, which I thought was great. That picture of him in his Chewbacca outfit holding up his son, I thought that was a fabulous image. That was a great image to see. And it was really cool seeing the enthusiasm that the new cast, Kelly Marie Tran, Jonas, and I forget the new girl's name, I forget her name, but the enthusiasm they brought to the stage was something that I felt was really kind of missing from everybody else on the panel, but whatever. And one of the other great stories, the new girl, who again, I feel terrible, I'm forgetting her name, but telling the story about when she found out, she got the call at 7 a.m. that she was going to be in the new Star Wars film. And she just squealed and her dad ran up. And I could just picture the scene in my head of her in bed weeping, getting the call, and her dad just knew what it was. And her telling the story of her dad sitting there. I got to tell you what, I got a little choked up. Thinking about a dad sitting there with his daughter, finding out his daughter just is going to be in a new Star Wars movie. That was pretty great. Those were the highlights in a pretty much otherwise fairly underwhelming panel that felt awkward at times, felt a little disjointed at times. Like last year's, the last Celebration Big Episode 8 panel just felt like it flowed much better. It was much more prepared. It had a lot more life to it. So I gotta say I was a little bit underwhelmed by it. I mean, I would have liked when they brought out JJ and Kathleen, it would have been a lot more interesting to hear here's some behind the scenes stuff rather than just spouting off the stereotypical script. Oh, we're so privileged to work on this. Oh, this was such a wonderful experience. Like, talk about filming in Jordan a little bit. Talk about some of the challenges you faced coming into episode 9. It just they just sat there and said some of the standard stereotypical things. It's like, well, why am I watching this? Why am I watching this? But at any rate, there, again, few highlight moments. Billy D. Williams, Kelly Marie Tran, Jonas, the new girl. That stuff was really, really cool to see. And that was great. But it was all just, let's face it, all of us who were watching that stream, we watched an hour of that just so we could get to the, what was it, a minute long teaser? That's what it really was. It was just an hour of patiently waiting to get to the actual teaser. So what did I think of the teaser? Well, I said the other day that I thought it was never been more important in Star Wars history for a trailer to be good. It didn't have to be the best trailer ever, but it's never been more important for a Star Wars trailer to be good and be solid. Especially coming off of the divisiveness of Star Wars Episode 8. It was vital that it's good. And I'll say this. I thought the trailer was good. I'm not jumping up and down about it. Quite frankly, I thought the Star Wars Episode 8 trailer that they showed at Star Wars Celebration Orlando was probably had more oomph to it. But this was a good trailer. It was a good teaser trailer for a movie that comes out not for another 8 months. And on that level, it was pretty cool. But let's all be honest here. This whole trailer was about one moment. And that moment was hearing the Emperor Palpatine laughing at the end, highlighted by the lights coming back up on the stage and Ian McDiarmid himself coming out on stage and saying, "Roll it again." That was the highlight of the whole damn thing. That was, to me, absolutely the highlight of the whole damn thing. Hearing the Emperor, because JJ kind of teased a little bit about that earlier in the panel, right? When he said, now our heroes are facing an even greater evil. It's like, what greater evil? Well, how about Emperor Palpatine? How about Sheev Palpatine doing his cackle and giggle at the end, and then having that was really well orchestrated. Having that end the trailer, and then having the lights come up with Ian McDiarmid on the stage, just in case you were wondering who that laugh was, and saying "roll it again." Best moment. It was worth the trailer just for that moment. Now, I know one of the big things a lot of people are going to want to talk about is the title. The Rise of Skywalker. I've already seen a ton of theories about what that means. One obvious theory is that, wait a minute, is Rey a Skywalker after all? Hard to imagine since JJ's the one who kind of instituted that she wasn't a Skywalker from the beginning, and it kind of makes no sense, but that's a possibility. And plus, why would they give away a major secret of the movie in the title of the movie? That doesn't make any sense to me. So there's some other theories. Number one, that the Skywalker is a new branch of Force users. That's something I'm already seeing flying around online is that it's time for the Jedi to die, is what Luke said. There's no more Sith. Well, except for the Emperor's around. So there's Jedi, there's Sith, there's Skywalker, which is a whole new breed. So that's one theory. I don't know that I buy that theory myself. Another theory going around is that the Rise of Skywalker is a direct inference to Kylo is getting redeemed. And Kylo Ren will be gone. Ben Skywalker will arise, and it's the Rise of Skywalker. That's one theory as well. The problem with that is there's a lot of us who feel like Kylo Ren is beyond redemption, but that's a possibility. Another theory going around is that, Leia rises to become, the leader of the universe again. And so that Leia actually is the Rise of Skywalker is actually a reference to her. That's another theory going around. Another theory I already see flying around is that there's another child. There's another child somewhere. And that Rey is like a transitional hero. That's a possibility too. So just right in there, just in 5 minutes since this trailer played, there's already like 5 trained schools of thought as to what does the title The Rise of Skywalker mean. Oh, and by the way, another obscure one is that Luke returns. That the Rise of Skywalker is about Luke returning. I don't know how that makes sense, but okay. I mean, anything is possible at this point, right? I don't know I don't have supreme confidence in any of those theories. I certainly don't in the idea that Rey's a Skywalker. I believe JJ doused that a long time ago, but it's a possibility, but I don't accept that one. I don't think it's about the rise of Leia to become like the head of the galactic government. I don't think that's it either. I also don't think there's another child out there, but I also have problems with the Kylo Ren theory. It seems like too much of a stretch on play on words that a new breed of Force user known as the Skywalker would be there. So I got to tell you, none of the existing theories right now do I necessarily buy into. I don't have a better theory at this point as to what the title of the movie means. But those are some of the theories. What are the ones that you think about? Okay, guys, I said I wanted the majority of today's video to be solely focused on talking about what you guys saw in there. What did you think about what we saw? What are your theories about what does the title mean? Do you have any theories just from what we saw in there? I kind of dug the whole Rey in the desert doing the leap over the TIE fighter that's coming. That looked pretty cool, I gotta say. Not a mind-blowing trailer, though. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. Not a mind-blowing. Perfectly solid. It's a good trailer. A good teaser trailer for a movie that doesn't come out for 8 months. Perfectly fine. But I gotta say, nothing in it kind of really made me go, whoa, until until that happened, which sounds a lot like my dad's laugh. I'm not sure. That's going to creep me out now because it sounds like my dad's laugh. Anyway, so where are you guys at on all this sort of thing? I wasn't blown away till the end. Maybe you were blown away through the whole thing. What are your guys' thoughts on this? Let's dive into it and start talking right now. Okay. Madsif Jada writes, putting that thumbnail photo to good use. Oh, dude, I use that thumbnail. If you're talking about me standing there like this, I use that for just about everything. It's a great go-to PNG I have. J Meister writes, well, I'll be. There is anticipation left from me for episode 9. Despite what I said yesterday, I am genuinely curious to see where all this ends up. I think that is a great word, J Meister. Curious. I think if nothing else, I think this probably raised a lot of curiosity. I think a lot of this trailer, I think definitely piqued a lot of people, particularly the title and the end of the trailer piqued a lot of people's curiosity. Denmar95 writes, the best thing coming out of new Star Wars is Daisy Ridley. Daisy Ridley's a treasure. She's very talented. I liked her very much in, what's the Kenneth Branagh film she was just in? Murder on the Orient Express. I didn't love the movie, but I thought she was terrific in it. I'm really enjoying her screen presence. And you're right, she is pretty much a treasure. James Welsh writes, good to see Kelly Marie Tran getting a standing ovation after all the shit she went through. She deserves it. Absolutely. Again, like to me, it was really nice to see because to me, as I said, that was seeing the Star Wars fandom at its best when, unfortunately, she had kind of been on the receiving end of the Star Wars fandom being at its most toxic, awful worst. And to see the reception that she got there was really nice. It kind of reminded me, you know, with all the crap that Hayden Christensen, good Canadian kid, has gotten over the years. I remember at Star Wars Celebration Orlando, the great reception he got. That was very heartwarming, and it was really great to see Kelly Marie Tran get that reception. That was wonderful. Roy L. writes, will you go home to see episode 9 with your mom? Oh, absolutely. I've already booked my tickets. I am absolutely going home back to Canada to take my mom to see Star Wars Episode 9. No questions, no ifs, ands, or buts. I mean, I'll see it here first, and then I'll get on a plane, fly home, and take my mom to go see it. Absolutely. Mr.47 writes, finally, the trailer. I got chills. It's good to hear. I'm seeing some people really enjoyed the trailer. That's great. I didn't like it as much as some people did, but I thought it was solid, with a couple of highlight moments, including the revelation of the title, but that Palpatine thing at the end. But I'm glad to hear that you enjoyed it that much, Mr. Zach Kaplan writes, Palpy is back. How will they wrap this up in one film? Well, you can kind of ask that question going into any final chapter, right? We asked it in Lord of the Rings. We asked it in Return of the Jedi. They'll figure it out. They'll figure out in 2 hours and 20 minutes, they'll figure out a way to wrap it up. But the return of Palpatine is quite frankly something I didn't think they would do. There have been a lot of people that had a theory that, hey, Palpatine comes back. And I thought, well, that's possible. I don't see how you do it, but it's possible. But I didn't think they would. Him being back is definitely the most interesting thing I got out of all this, no doubt. Royale writes, can't wait to see how it all plays out, and we've got a long ways to wait. We still got 8 months to go. So it's going to be 8 months of speculation, wondering, theorizing, everybody getting all their theories on and ducks in a row. It's going to be an interesting 8 months. David Sickles writes, sorry, John, but I quite like the prequels. Oh, that's fine. Hey, look, if you like the prequels, that's awesome. Except episode 1. Episode 3 is my top 3 Star Wars movie, with episode 6 and Rogue One. Gotta say, I wasn't blown away with this teaser. Yeah, I wasn't blown away by it either. But like I said yesterday, we didn't need to be blown away by this trailer. The trailer just had to be good. It had to be good. They couldn't come out with this trailer and fall on its face. They could not let that happen. And while I agree with you, David, I'm not blown away by it either. I thought it did what it needed to do. It's a trailer for a movie that's not coming out for another 8 months. It came out, teased it, gave us a great whoa moment with the Emperor's laugh, and it was solid. It's solid. Not great, that's fine, but it did what it needed to do, and that was the most important thing. DC Patience writes, wow, I love Daisy. Glad to see her kick butt. Yeah, it's gonna be neat to see, because one of the things they said, for those of you who saw the trailer but didn't see the panel, JJ did confirm that this movie starts a considerable amount of time after the end of episode 8. So it's not like 5 minutes after the end of episode 8. This is a good chunk of time that has passed. How much time? They weren't clear. And it didn't seem like they wanted to tell us yet. But we're going to see Rey, I think, much more powerful. She did infer that during the off-camera time between the end of episode 8 and where episode 9 begins, she's been reading those Jedi texts. She's been studying the Jedi lore. So I think we're going to see a different Rey coming this time around. Dal writes, Palpatine's laugh gave me chills. Oh, dude, that's the moment. Because I'm watching the trailer. I'm like, okay, this is good. This is solid. And then you hear Palpatine's laugh, and you hear it at first, and there's like, okay, somebody laughed, and then I realize who it is, and I'm like, I think a lot of people across the world were watching that trailer, like, and they hear the laugh, and then they understand, then we all sit up like, that's Palpatine. And that was a great moment. Hector Jeter writes, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Yeah, that's good. It's really good seeing people have that kind of reaction. Robert Perez writes, many effing tears, or man effing tears. Yeah, I gotta tell you that I had, for me, it was a couple of moments seeing Billy D. Williams saying, Lando's been with me all along. Like that was great. The reception Kelly Marie Tran got, the girl telling the story about her dad being there when she found Star Wars, man, tears. But hearing the Palpatine laugh, that was kind of exciting, man. That was kind of exciting. KW Garrett 83 writes, Rise of Skywalker. Aren't we fresh out of living Skywalkers? Is it referring to Leia becoming Chancellor? Anyway, just a title, like the trailer otherwise. Well, that's going to be the $1 million question for the next few months, that everybody online is going to be fighting and arguing and bickering about, is what does that mean? The Rise of Skywalker. You just mentioned one of the theories that I heard, that it's referring to the rise of Leia becoming Chancellor. Possible. And maybe it ushers in an era in the galaxy that goes on to become one of the most epic eras in the galaxy ever, under the leadership of Chancellor Leia Skywalker, or if she goes by Solo, whatever. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. But I don't believe it's just a trailer, or just a title. I mean, there's meaning in that title. The question is, over the next few months, unpacking what that meaning is, and all of us arguing and bickering about it and forming our different camps and divisions over it. But it's going to be interesting to see. All right, James Hoffman writes, does the title The Rise of Skywalker suggest that Rey is a Skywalker? Certainly seems so to me. I doubt it. But it is one of the possibilities. Make no mistake, it is one of the possibilities. But I doubt it for several reasons. Number one, it's still funny to me seeing some people going, we want JJ to retcon what Rian Johnson did with Rey's parentage. But what I always got to remind people is, guys, Daisy Ridley has said forever that Rey's parentage was made known to her day one that she was shooting The Force Awakens by J.J. Abrams. It was J.J. Abrams who set it up that Rey's parents were nobody. She's not a Skywalker. That was J.J.'s thing, not Rian Johnson's thing. Daisy Ridley has said that numerous times. But does that automatically mean that they're not changing that up for episode 9? No, it doesn't automatically mean that. But again, I have two big problems with the idea that the title is referring to Rey. Big problem number one, JJ has told Daisy Ridley from day one that her parents aren't anybody. She's not a Skywalker. Okay. Big problem number two, would you reveal the big secret of episode 9 in the title of the movie? Like, if it turns out that Rey's a Skywalker, do you literally put that in the title of the movie? I doubt they do that. So I'm of the mindset that no, it's not referring to Rey. I think that's pretty clear. However, even if you're in my position, you cannot discount that that's a possibility. It is a legit possibility. I just don't think that's the one that's going to be, but you can't say it's impossible. It's not impossible. All right, DC Patience writes, so mom is Leia and Kylo is brother. He killed her dad. Well, again, I do not believe that she is, I don't believe she's Leia's kid. I don't believe she's Leia's kid. That's been one of the other theories going around since episode 7, is that, okay, forget relation to Luke, that Rey is actually a forgotten child of Han and Leia. Like maybe a child they had earlier and thought had died, and so they never mentioned her, but it's actually she's their child. And maybe Han knew that. I mean, that's a theory that goes around too. Again, not a theory I buy into. I don't think she's a Skywalker. But there are several different ways that maybe she could be. Whether she's a clone of Anakin Skywalker, which is one theory. Whether she is a direct descendant of Luke Skywalker, whether she is a long-lost child of Han Solo and Leia. There's many different paths to her being a Skywalker. I don't think it's any of them, but it's something you got to keep in mind. Okay, Ladislav Misanik writes, how the audience reacted to Kelly Marie Tran was so heartwarming. It is, and especially if you're somebody like me, that I've had my... I don't want to go into it too. I've had my faith in Star Wars fandom shaken a lot this last year. This past year, my love of and my faith in the Star Wars fandom, quite frankly, has taken a number of hits and has been shaken this last year, to the point that I didn't even want to go to Star Wars Celebration, which is drastically heartbreaking to me that I didn't even want to go. It was really nice to see, and I've said it 3 or 4 times already. I'll probably say it another dozen times between now and the end of the video. It was really great to see the Star Wars fandom at its best. Giving her that reception after all the crap she took, I thought was really heartwarming, and I thought it was really nice to see. And it did a little bit, if my faith in the Star Wars fandom had been shaken this year, it did a little bit to restore it a bit, I gotta say. It was a really nice moment, dude. David Tapia writes, Star Wars 9, The Rise of My Boner. Make a t-shirt of that, David. I think that'll sell. Honestly, I think that'll sell. The Rise of My Boner. Caleb Kaiser writes, people are saying it's Palpatine's laugh at the end. It's not. It's Luke Skywalker. Don't think so, Caleb. I think if there was any doubt, as to that being Palpatine, the doubt was brushed away when the lights came up on stage and Ian McDiarmid is standing there on stage going, play it again. I think that settled the issue on that. It did. Wouldn't it be fascinating if that was Luke? What if Luke goes crazy? What if Force Ghost Luke? Or what if Luke isn't dead at all? And by the way, Luke is in this movie, but he wasn't at the panel. That was interesting. Why? Who knows? We'll find out. Maybe he's got like one scene in the movie. Who knows? But he only had one scene in the episode 7 movie, and he was at Star Wars Celebration for that. But at any rate, no, I think it's pretty safe to say that was Palpatine. I mean, I guess 99% sure it's Palpatine. Brian Clark writes, so, Rise of Skywalker, will that be like Search for Spock? The movie is a quest to find Luke or an heir? That's another theory. I mean, again, there's some people think it's about Luke, like rising back to lead the galaxy. It's possible, I suppose. Again, I don't think likely. But at this point, this early on, Brian, there would be very few theories I'd be willing just to throw out the window at this point. Very few theories that I would just be willing to say at this point, nope, that's impossible. That can't possibly be what it is. Maybe it is. Who knows? I don't think so, but maybe. Jinyu Hichi writes, Rise of Star Wars or Skywalker, refer to Kylo? That's another one of the big theories here. One of the big theories is that this is referring to the redemption of Kylo Ren, something that a lot of people don't want to see, something I don't think they're going to do, but you can't discount it as a possibility. Maybe it's about, just like Darth Vader put Anakin Skywalker to death so he could be Darth Vader, maybe Kylo Ren dies and so Ben Skywalker can be reborn. Maybe? I mean, it's a possibility. Snake Jerusalem writes, do you feel regret for not going to Star Wars Celebration? Actually, no. I'm perfectly happy watching the stream from home. Don't get me wrong. I under normal circumstances, I wanted to go. I just wasn't feeling it this year. And maybe I'll go to the next one. I don't know. We'll see how the Star Wars fandom kind of evolves over the next year or two. But, no, I was perfectly happy watching the stream from home, especially when it was a little bit of a snoozer panel. Again, some highlight moments. There was about 3 minutes of real highlight moments in a fairly uneventful, fairly boring panel. But now I was fine watching it from home. Let's see, where are we at here? James Boner writes, I know that fiendish cackle anywhere. Yep. Oh, that was great. I love that. That to me was the money moment. Or the money shot, if you will, even though it was just audio. That was the money shot, was having that cackle. That opens up a world of possibilities, man. Darklock63 writes, let the speculation begin. Palpatine appears to be back. Oh my God. Look, the big question a lot of people are going to be asking, how the hell is Palpatine back? Where has Palpatine been? Is this like an expanded universe thing of clone? Is it a clone thing? Did he just survive that fall? I mean, look, we've seen Jedi and Force users make some pretty big jumps from pretty high places and stuff like that. Could Palpatine have reasonably survived that fall and gotten off the Death Star before it blew up? I mean, I don't know. Did he have clones? Was he... I don't know, man. Yet another element that this trailer has given us. There's about a dozen elements that this trailer has given us that we can all now speculate about for the next 8 months. Matt Ford 53 writes, Billy D is a treasure, absolutely. Also teared up when I saw Carrie in the trailer. Yeah, I cannot wait for this movie. It was really nice to see how well that just fit in. It felt very natural. Because, when they announced that Carrie Fisher was going to be back in this movie using previously unused footage, we all were wondering, is it going to feel awkward? Is it going to feel out of place? Hey, look, who knows what it's going to feel like in the movie? But in the scope of the trailer, it felt very natural. It was nice to see. And you're right, the Billy D is a treasure, man. All right, James Hoffman writes, what does Luke's laugh mean? I don't think that was Luke's laugh. Maybe Luke literally gets the last laugh because the Skywalker defeats Kylo and the Dark Force even after he is gone. I gotta be honest, I'm really surprised. Are there that many people? Maybe I'm missing something. Are there a lot of people who actually think that laugh at the end was Luke? Because I'll be honest with you, the moment, I didn't know who it was at first, but then I instantly, after a second or two into the laugh, I thought, oh, that's Palpatine. That's Palpatine. And then Ian McDiarmid come on stage. But is there a contingent of people out there who really do think that was Luke? Maybe it was. I thought it was pretty clear it's Palpatine, but maybe it was Luke, but I don't think it was, James. Who knows? Something else for us to speculate about. Snake Jerusalem writes, I feel like they will retcon Rey has a Skywalker. I don't think so. Again, it is one of those things that's possible, though. It is one of those things that's possible. I will be very disappointed if they do, because I thought right from Star Wars Episode 7, they should not make Rey a Skywalker. It makes no sense for her to be a Skywalker. It's just more shrinking of the universe. Everybody has to be the daughter of somebody. I've just always hated that. So I don't want her to be a Skywalker. I'll be honest about it. I don't want her because I don't think that's good storytelling. But number two, I think they made it pretty clear she's not, right from Star Wars Episode 7. But even I, somebody who doesn't want it to be true and doesn't think it's true, even I got to acknowledge it is a possibility. It's a possibility. But I'm just not feeling it. Or anyway, Brian Clark writes, trailer gave us little bits of everything we need. Action, pathos, weird worlds and creatures, Lando and a cryptic tease. Perfect teaser, mwahaha. Yeah, and I think that's important to keep in mind for guys like me and a lot of us, Brian, is that it was a teaser. This is a movie that doesn't come out for 8 months. This is a movie that's nowhere near finished. They're going to have a long-term plan to roll out little bit by little bit. This was the first. I thought it was solid. Again, it didn't blow my mind, but it didn't need to either. I thought it was a solid, good first teaser with a big bang moment at the end with the laughing of Palpatine and, of course, the title reveal. So, yeah, I thought it was solid. Good out of the gate thing there. Had a lot of the elements they needed to have. DC Patience writes, "Welp, Disney owns my wallet now." Yeah, isn't that just the story of 2019? Between Captain Marvel, which has already made over $1 billion, Endgame, Spider-Man Far From Home, Toy Story 4, Lion King, Frozen 2 is going to make over $1 billion, Star Wars Episode 9. We might as well just, can we just all talk to our employers and say, can you just forward my checks to Disney at this point? Because that's kind of how it's going to be working out this year. Mahir Haku writes, "This episode looks character-driven. I'm excited. It is difficult to say from a 1-minute teaser where there's really not any dialogue, or at least very, very little dialogue. There's a bit of narration, very little dialogue. It's tough to tell that, but I will agree, Mahir, it kind of does have a feel of a character-driven story. Let's see if that's the direction they actually go." Rufino Salazar Jr. writes, "Play it again. Play it again. Love the laugh at the end, dude. It was the highlight moment. Absolutely, it was one. I wonder how many times today I'm going to do that very bad Palpatine imitation. Play it again." It's just, I love hearing him say that. San Salvatore writes, "First reaction, excitement. Second, please no EU clone BS." That's exactly what I was just talking about, San. I wonder, how is he back? In the extended universe stuff, there was obviously, Palpatine had his clones, right? He had his clones. Is that the direction they're going? I'm with you. I hope not. But if they do, here's just hoping they plan it out well and it's executed well. Terrell Wise writes, "Whose laughter in the episode 9 teaser?" Again, with Ian McDiarmid coming out at the end, I thought it was pretty clear that was Palpatine, but some of you guys seem to think it was Luke, and I guess that's a possibility. Caleb Kaiser writes, "I take it back. It is the Emperor Palpatine at the end." What? Yeah, I know, right? It's give me a break. By the way, Anne's not here. Anne, my wife, is at work. I wish she was here for that, because without a word of a lie, my wife's all-time #1, bar none, favorite Star Wars character ever is Palpatine. That is her all-time favorite character. And when we were at Star Wars Celebration, she, Anne, the one picture she wanted to get was her with Ian McDiarmid, and she got it. And she put it on a t-shirt. I mean, it's her face. So I wish she was here to see that. She probably would have had tears of joy. I can't wait to talk. I haven't even talked to my wife about it yet because she's at work, but I cannot wait. Okay, anyway. What is that? Oh, there it is. Jonathan 1996, right? "Loved it." And Palpatine, oh my God, did not expect that, dude. I did not expect it at all. That was a huge surprise. I did not expect it, but a welcome one. Let's see. Harris writes, "How do you explain the title? Hype. Sing again, please." Well, I'm not going to sing right now. How do I explain the title? Again, it's there's already, maybe now we're up to 8 camps of thought on what the title means. Everything from A Long Lost Child, Kylo's redemption, Leia becoming Chancellor, retconning Rey as a Skywalker, what were some of the other ones? Finding Luke, the return of Luke Skywalker, that the Skywalker becomes a new class of Force user, and they just name him. If you're one of those class, you are a Skywalker as opposed to a Jedi or a... I mean, there's already 8 or 9, and I'm sure by the end of the day, we're going to have 50. We're going to have 50 different camps of thought as to what the title of this movie means. Let the debate continue to rage on. Curtis Lopez writes, Ian McDiarmid, roll it again. Again, I'm going to say at least 20 more times, ladies and gentlemen. Just get used to it, no matter how bad my impersonation is. San Salvatore writes, I hope Skywalker refers to a new Force order. There it is. There it is. Totally, that is one of the camps already emerging. Refers to a new Force order replacing the Jedi/Sith or Ben's redemption. Please no Luke clones and please no Palpatine clones. Yeah, it seems like a lot of people don't want the clone route. There's been a popular theory ever since episode 7 about, hey, they found Luke's lightsaber that got cut off by Darth Vader, but what about the hand? And there is some extended universe stuff, lore about what happened to Luke's hand, right? So maybe a little baby clone from the hand. I don't know, but a lot of people seem to not want that, and I kind of agree with you, San. Anyway, Frankie Gouge writes, just when I thought I was out of Star Wars, they dragged me back in. Wasn't different until this trailer. See, and Frankie, I think that just highlights again why I've been saying that it is so vitally important that this trailer be good. It has to be good. And I think most people, look, this wasn't a very risky trailer. This trailer didn't take a lot of risks, which is fine. It's a first teaser for a movie that's 8 months out. But it had to be good, and it seems like there's not a lot there to dislike. There's not a lot there to get overly thrilled with either, but there's not a lot there to get dislike, and I think that was important, and I think it's going to bring a lot of people like yourself, Frankie, who might have been on the fringe going, okay, you got me interested, especially with that Palpatine laugh at the end. Gareth Tucson writes, Kelly Marie Tran, standing ovation, that is all. Fabulous moment. Fabulous moment. I'll probably talk about that again later in the broadcast, but it was maybe the best moment of the entire stream, to be honest with you. Amlan writes, guess Leia hugging Rey scene is from The Force Awakens. Yeah, either that or her hugging somebody else and they digitally replaced somebody else for Daisy Ridley. But I think your theory is probably bang on. It's probably a leftover shot from The Force Awakens. That's what I'm guessing at any rate. Tony Lamar writes, maybe the Emperor always knew how to cheat death. He's a freaking Sith. I could see him keeping that little for himself. Yeah, don't forget, guys, the whole motivation, both in the movies and in the novels and stuff like that, the whole motivation of Palpatine is to unlock that secret. The whole reason he was grooming Vader because he wanted somebody to unlock that secret with, somebody to help him unlock that secret that Plagueis had, how to beat and cheat death. Could his presence in this movie be the ultimate logical extension of that? Maybe. We'll have to wait and find out. Luke1234 writes, new droid looks basic and boring. Yeah, but every droid in Star Wars looks kind of basic and boring. BB-8 is a circle that rolls around. I mean, this thing, yeah, it looked pretty basic, but there's something about the lived-in universe. There's something about the grittiness that JJ wanted to bring back to Star Wars that makes it feel right. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that little droid was a Dio. Was that the name of it? Dio? I'm not saying I love that little droid, but understanding where Star Wars is at this point, it kind of looks like a droid they would have. So I don't know. That's just what I'm thinking. I'm not overly thrilled with it either, Luke. C-Spice writes, love the teaser. Much better than the usual Disney first trailer, which is 90% black screen and intense breathing. Not a fan of the title, though, honestly. It's hard to know whether, I gotta say, it's hard to know whether or not to be a fan of the title. And I probably won't know if I'm a fan of the title until I see the movie. Like, seeing the movie will then give me context, and then I'll decide if I think the title is good or not. It is a title, though, that feels like by design is meant to get people talking. If their purpose of releasing this title is to get people talking, look at us right now. We're all talking about the 1,000 different theories we have as to what could that title mean. And if that was their purpose and their goal, got to kind of say mission accomplished. Let's see here. Ryan Campbell writes, just as Anakin borrowed from the religious elements of a virgin birth, I wonder if they will pull from the resurrection with Luke. Possible. It's possible. Now look, I've always had a theory that, hey, 95% certain that Luke is dead. 95% certain. But I've held on to this 5%. This 5% belief, which is almost none, but 5% belief that Luke never actually died at the end of episode 8. Now, some of you are screaming at your computer monitors right now, but John, in the comics that they put out afterwards, they make it clear he died. Yep, they did. They did. But that's the comics. And we've already seen how the comics has broken with canon a couple of times in their newer runs. So I don't know. I'm still holding out to that 5% hope. But again, that 5% hope that he's alive ultimately means that I think it's 95% chance that he's dead. He's probably dead. But I don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe this whole Rise of Skywalker thing is about them finding a way to bring Luke back. I don't think that's likely, but it's as possible as anything at this point, I guess. All right. Victor Dresna writes, I am interested. No toxic progressive stuff, and looks and sounds like it will be about the story, and that's it. The way Star Wars should be. Well, look, here's the thing, Victor. There's nothing toxic about being progressive. There's nothing toxic about ending the exclusion of anybody who's not a straight white male. Ending the agenda of straight white males only is not a toxic thing. And by the way, there was nothing about the other Star Wars movies that was that. Never once. Like, it's not like Supergirl on the CW, where on Supergirl in the CW, there are constant stops. Now, I stopped watching the show a while ago because I just didn't like what they did with Superman, but there were constantly speeches about, I know that as a woman, I can do this in the world. Like, there was a lot of that, like very, and there was nothing wrong with it, but very blatant. There was a lot of stuff about that was about gender empowerment. That was about women empowerment. And again, no problem with that, but it was very blatant in Supergirl. I remember having this debate with somebody once about the new Star Wars movies and saying, oh, it's just so blatantly this. I said, okay, tell me one scene in Star Wars where there's ever a scene where Rey says, because I'm a woman, I can do this. Like, show me one part. It's never mentioned. There's never once mentioned in The Force Awakens or in The Last Jedi anything about blatantly female empowerment, about equality. None of that is ever explicitly said. It's just people who have a political agenda of wanting to keep women and minorities in their place see a movie that has the audacity to elevate a woman or somebody who's not white into a heroic, prominent role in a film, and they're the ones who bring their political agenda into it and go, this is all about progressiveness. No, it wasn't. Did you hear one speech in these, unlike Supergirl, did you hear one speech in either of these movies about that? Never. So if you're seeing it, it's because it's bucking up against your political agenda. Anyway, that's just kind of my thought. I don't want to go into that today, but I never got there. I would just propose to you, Victor, point to me one scene in any of the previous two movies that stuff was there. Never was. Not once. You can't point to a single one because it doesn't exist. But anyway, that's just kind of my thought on that. C-Spice writes, the new droid looks like a Windex bottle. Yep, it kind of does. It absolutely kind of does. Connor Diaz writes, that Kylo stabbing someone scene gave me chills. Yeah, what was going on with that? By the way, nobody's mentioned yet. Kylo putting his mask back together? I thought that was pretty badass. C-Spice writes, in response to toxic progressive stuff, I sure hope they don't mean people of color and LGBT characters because representation is always good. Here's the thing, C-Spice, you just got to understand. Representation rubs some people the wrong way. There are some people that just don't want representation. And it's just the reality. There are just some people that don't think there should ever be representation. If it ain't white, it ain't right to some people. And that's just the way it is. So it's something we just got to accept, I guess. Raizio, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, writes, not big on the title. Yeah, still not sure what to make of the title. But just imagine Rey v. Kylo and Force Ghost Luke versus Force Ghost Palpatine. Also, it was my birthday yesterday. Well, happy birthday, Raizio. To that, I don't know if we're going to see a Force Ghost versus Force Ghost. I don't know if Force Ghosting was ever, if you looked at the Clone Wars cartoon, if you go back to the, something came in my eye, guys, sorry about that. If you look back at the Star Wars, the Clone Wars animated series, the being able to Force Ghost was something that Yoda discovered. I don't know if that's a skill that the Sith ever had. So I don't know if they could do that. But it would be, do we want to see two ghosts fighting? I don't know. I mean, on its surface, it sounds pretty cool, but yeah, I don't know. And happy birthday again, dude. Happy belated birthday. Angel Chang writes, bro, that laugh in the end, I hope it's Snoke or Palpatine. I can never take Kylo as a villain seriously. LOL. Those two, though, now those two are threats. Yeah, and I think it didn't sound like Snoke to me. Like at the first laugh, I thought, oh, is maybe Snoke? But then as the laugh went on, like, no, that's Palpatine. And then if there was any doubt, Ian McDiarmid shows up on stage. But some people still think it's Luke. It's interesting. We'll find out. That clearly wasn't Kylo's laugh, though. I think that's one thing you can rest assured with, Angel. That wasn't Kylo's laugh. So you want to be an Imagineer, writes. Hope Luke line, no one ever is really gone. Hard cut to Palpatine laughed. Love the duality of that. Yeah. There's so much in there to theorize about and to unpack and to wonder about and to speculate over. But that was an effective cut. That was an effective use of that. The juxtaposition of those things was pretty good. Gabriel Parga writes, Palpatine episode 9, what? Harloff is a spy. Well, like I said, it's been a theory that a lot of people have had for a while. It's been one that's been going around, I mean, really ever since episode 7. One I never bought into. I never really thought that was something they would do, but here we are, and there are some people who knew it. Caleb Kaiser writes, bringing back the Emperor just throws out Darth Vader's redemption story out the window from the original trilogy. I'm pissed. Oh, no, it doesn't at all. Because Vader's redemption wasn't about what happens to Palpatine. Vader's redemption wasn't about Palpatine. Vader's redemption was about him making the choice to choose his family, to choose his son, to turn back to the light side. That's what Vader's redemption. Whether whether Palpatine died in that fall has nothing to do with Vader's redemption. Whether Palpatine landed on his feet and got on a space shuttle and flew away before the Death Star blows up has nothing to do with Vader's redemption. And by the way, Vader doing that got the rebels the victory. Just because 40 years later the guy returns doesn't, in my opinion, undermine what Vader did in any way, shape, or form, nor does it take away the fact that it gave the rebellion the victory. It gave the rebellion the victory. And it meant the Empire was wiped away, and for decades, the universe lived in peace under the New Republic. Something that happens 40 years later doesn't undo that. So I'm going to challenge you on that, Caleb. I'm going to challenge you on that a little bit. Wahaj Ali writes, John, which Skywalker is the title referring to? Dude, I have no idea. Could it be Luke? Could it be Leia? Could it be Rey? Could it be Kylo? Could it be an unknown? Could Skywalker be a new breed of Force user? Could I have no idea. I have no idea. Could it be a reference to Anakin? There's one that hasn't been talked about. Could it be about that the whole path that the universe is on was because of the rise of Anakin Skywalker? Could it be a past tense kind of title? That's a possibility too, I guess. I don't know that. I'm not saying that's what's happening, but who knows? At this point, I can't even venture a guess. Right now, there's no theory that I really buy into yet. It could be one of those. It might not be. I'm just saying right now, I haven't bought into any of them. I just have issues and problems with each one of those theories. Dominic Francis writes, yep, got teary-eyed when Lando and Chewie were in the cockpit. That was a good moment. When Lando and Chewie were in the cockpit, as well as Leia hugging Rey, that laugh gave me chills. Hopefully the title grows on me. Again, I'm not sure the title... Look, ultimately, the title's irrelevant. Except in this case is that it clearly has some meaning. I never cared about the title The Force Awakens. I never cared about the title The Empire Strikes Back. I never cared about the title A New Hope. I never cared about the title The Return of the Jedi. I never cared about any of the titles. I don't expect that I'll care about this one, except for the fact that it's leaving us wondering what the hell does it mean? So, and I got a feeling the title ultimately isn't really going to grow on me until I see the movie and I get some context for it. But until then, we're just left to debate. Terry Schultz writes, oh my God. I know that dude, that ending was great. Victor Dresner writes, representation is a Avoid idea. Let the story speak for itself. Here's the problem, Victor. And I say this with all due respect, my fellow fan. The problem is the two are not mutually exclusive. There are some people who have this archaic, backward way of thinking that having representation is an antithesis to the story speaking for itself. That if you have representation, that is taking away from the story. Nothing could be further from the truth. Having representation is the story speaking for itself. It's just removing the agenda of keeping representation out. Removing the agenda of keeping representation out is not taking away or not letting the story speak for itself. By getting rid of that agenda, now you are truly letting the story speak for itself. And anyway, that's just kind of my thought on that. DC Patience writes, is Kylo in the ship/pod driving towards Rey? I suspect it is, but the trailer it feels like very purposefully didn't show us the pilot. It just showed the hands. Now, it was the black leather gloves. That could be Kylo, but it almost felt like it was a very purposeful shot as to not reveal who was piloting it. So maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it's Palpatine. Maybe it's Luke. Maybe it's Biggs Darklighter come back from the dead and turned evil. I don't know. We'll have to wait and find out. DJ CDO1 writes, how awesome was that Rey flip over Kylo's TIE Fighter? I got it. Well, first of all, I don't know if it looked like Kylo's TIE Fighter. Could have been Kylo in it. I like the flip. Because in that one shot, it kind of expresses that this is a different Rey. Rey has progressed in her skills and abilities over however much time has passed through her studying of the Jedi texts and her training. This is going to be interesting, but I like that flip. I thought that was pretty cool. Shane Bennis writes, don't think that Kylo was in the TIE Fighter at the start of the trailer. And again, I think that they very purposefully made that vague. We could very easily speculate that it was, but it very easily may not have been. So if I had to put $2 on it right now, I'm guessing that it wasn't Kylo in there. Because why not show him? Because they showed Kylo in other parts in the trailer. Why not show him piloting the ship? So, again, I'm not willing to put $5 on it, but I'll put $2 that it wasn't Kylo. Who knows? I don't feel strongly about it either way, but we'll find out. Richard Karate writes, I love the Emperor's laugh at the end, dude. Highlight of the trailer, no doubt, Richard. Brody Bradley writes, my PP is so... My PP is so hard at that laugh at the end. It was absolutely a PP hardening experience hearing that laugh, no doubt. John Wick's dog, I love that name. John Wick's dog writes, woof, they need a boom trailer to shift conversation after Last Jedi, and they certainly provided that. Woof, woof. I don't know if they provided a boom trailer. And I don't know, it certainly had a boom moment. And I also don't think it needed to be a boom trailer. What it had to be was solid. There was just no room for error. It had to be a solid trailer. And I didn't expect them to deliver the world with this trailer, especially with the movie not even being done and the movie's 8 months away still and all that kind of stuff. I wasn't expecting any of that. But it had to be good. Because if this was a ho-hum kind of trailer, I mean, the narrative over the next couple of months would have been unbearable. Unbearable. So I was glad to see what they did deliver, and definitely with that end of the laugh at the end. Because I'll be honest with you, I was like, okay, this is a solid trailer. And then the end with the laugh, and I'm like, whoa? And that kind of got me, I got to admit. Jared Gold writes, do you think it really ends the whole saga? Well, I think it's like anything else. If you know Star Wars, there are some people who say Star Wars is about the Skywalkers. It's not. The Star Wars story goes back tens of thousands of years and thousands of generations. We're going back to stories of the Old Republic and things like that. My analogy is this. The story of America is not the story of the Kennedys, but the Kennedy part of the story is a very important, big part of the American story, but it's only part of the much bigger story of America. The Kennedys had a very relevant part to play in a certain part of it, but the Kennedys are not in and of themselves the story of America. I kind of look at it the same way with the Star Wars story. The Star Wars story is much bigger than the Skywalkers, much bigger. But like the Kennedys, there is a segment of time in the Star Wars, in the overall Star Wars story, that the Skywalkers play a very important part. But it's just one part. I do believe this is the end of that family's role to play. I do believe this is the end of the Skywalker saga. Now, which is kind of another thing that makes me think that it's not Rey who's the Skywalker, because we've already found out, Kathleen Kennedy's already confirmed we're going to get Rey in more movies later on. And if she's a Skywalker, then this isn't the end of the Skywalker saga, right? Right? So, semantics. So I do believe it's the end of the Skywalker saga, but not the end of the Star Wars saga. Catch-22 Productions writes, that laugh, that beautiful laugh. There's one of a kind in the universe, man. Having that beautiful Ian McDiarmid on stage again, man. That was just awesome, Catch-22. Okay, Richard Karate writes, the rise of Skywalker. If Luke's dead, does that mean Rey is a Skywalker, or that Kylo is redeemed and takes his grandfather's name as Ben Skywalker? Dude, like we said, there's already like 8 or 9 other camps. It could be a reference to Leia. It could be a reference to Luke himself. It could be a reference to a new organization. It could be a reference to a long-lost child, which I wouldn't put that beyond JJ. We've seen JJ use a trope like that before. I wouldn't put that beyond JJ. It could mean a lot of different things. I just don't see how you make it about Rey and put that in the title. That just makes no sense to me. Also, I just don't see the redemption of Kylo Ren. Does Kylo have a child? Does Kylo have a kid out there? Why not? You know, living his Sith-like bad boy ways? You know, hooking up with intergalactic honeys wherever he went? I don't know. But Kylo could certainly have a kid out there somewhere. I don't necessarily think that's it either. I mean, but that is going to be the billion-dollar question, Richard, for the next number of months. We're going to be debating that. And I think there's going to be valid points to make on all sides. But who knows at this point? Anmal writes, getting a feeling from the trailer title that Palpatine is coming back. You think? Kylo is bad, but in the end fight, him and die. And Rey will turn out to be a Skywalker. Again, I doubt the Skywalker thing, but then again, I doubt every one of the theories. I doubt the Leia theory. I doubt the Luke returning theory. I doubt the Rey theory. I doubt the Kylo theory. I doubt the new organization. I doubt every single theory that's out there, even though I don't have a better one to bring up at the moment. All right, In Development writes, do you think they should have saved Palpatine for the movie like BVS didn't do with Wonder Woman instead of putting his laugh at the end? No. I think if Palpatine is going to be a big presence in this movie, then you got to make that a part of your thing. As long as it's not just some little cameo. Like if Palpatine ends up being a short 5-minute cameo reveal at the end of episode 9, then having him in this teaser trailer, even just his laugh, is a monumental mistake. However, I believe that by putting him in this trailer and having Ian McDiarmid show up on stage, I think that what that tells us is that he plays a pretty significant role in this film. He is the villain of the film. And if that's the case, you're going to have him in the trailers, right? You're going to have him in the trailers. So, yeah, I think it'll be fine. But again, if it turns out he's just a 5-minute cameo at the end surprise reveal, then this would have been a monumental mistake. I just don't think that's the case. Paul Offerman writes, did you see the Falcon had a round dish back? Ooh, you know what? I wasn't even paying attention. To that. No, now I got to go. See, Paul, now you just gave me an excuse. I got to go back and watch the damn thing again. Christopher Mason just sends in a super chat. Thank you for Christopher. I appreciate that. Aviator 986 writes, watched it 10 times and counting. The end of the trailer was the same feeling I got when watching the Dark Knight trailer with the Joker laughing. I'll go one further. It had even more meaning for me than that Joker thing. Even more meaning, because this is a character that goes back decades. This is a celebrated, for all of his evil, this is a celebrated character that goes back to our childhoods. I mean, this is, whew, man, hearing that laugh. It wasn't just a reveal, it was a reliving. You know what I mean? Hearing that laugh wasn't just a reveal about a character who's going to be in the movie. It was a reliving of everything we as Star Wars fans went through at that man's hands, you know? As fans of our heroes. It was, it was something else. It was something else. All right, Ray writes, I really think we will see Anakin, Luke, and Rey all fight Palpatine together at the end. It's a possibility. I mean, look, one of the things they established in episode 8 was that Force ghosts can have physical impact on their environment. We saw that with Yoda hitting Luke on the head, right? So they can fight. But what about Obi-Wan's thing in Return of the Jedi is that if you confront Vader again, I cannot interfere. You'll be on your own. I can't interfere. Is that some kind of Force ghost rule that they can't get involved in conflict? Maybe. I mean, that's what it seemed to suggest to me, because when Obi-Wan said, I cannot interfere. If you're going to fight Vader, I can't jump in with you. I can't light up my ghost lightsaber and on Vader with you. I can't do it. I'm not allowed. Maybe we'll get a little bit more insight into that kind of rules of thinking. But the Anakin appearance is something a lot of people have speculated, especially since Hayden Christensen appeared at Star Wars Celebration in Orlando 2 years ago. Got a lot of people wondering, could we see Anakin again? It's possible. I don't think so, but it's possible. Eric Borasa writes, more hype for Star Wars or Endgame? Endgame. Well, like me personally, Star Wars, because I'm a Star Wars guy. But do I think this trailer will change that? No, not this trailer. There might be a trailer somewhere down the line that will take the hype up to even greater levels. But for right now, I think there's probably more hype for Endgame right now. For me, it's Star Wars, but I'm not a good example, because for me, it's always Star Wars. Christopher Mason writes, it showed nothing, but I'm in. They pulled me back. Well, I don't know if you can say they showed nothing. You got Kylo putting his helmet back together. You see a little bit of combat, but most importantly, they revealed Palpatine. And when you reveal Palpatine, you can't say that they revealed nothing, because they definitely revealed something. Buklodi writes, they aren't as good as Avengers cast at graciously or humorously answering questions that can't be answered. Not as much practice, I guess. Yeah, again, it was just an awkward panel with a few bright, shining moments on it. It's just overall cold, lifeless, awkward. Like I said, the episode 8 panel at Star Wars Celebration Orlando had a lot more, it just felt more alive. The panel at that thing just felt more alive. And I don't know what I attribute it to, but they definitely did. It wasn't a standout moment. It was a panel of a couple of standout moments. Billy D. Williams, Kelly Marie Tran. But yeah, overall, a little bit lifeless as a panel. Let's see. James Christie writes, I know your feelings on titles, but really, The Rise of Skywalker. I can tell you what the title didn't make Rise. Again, it all depends. It's hard to say. We may see this movie and go, oh my God, The Rise of Skywalker, perfect title. Like once we see the movie, we may go, I don't know how to help with that. Google thought I was speaking to it. So once we see the movie, we may go, oh yeah, Rise of Skywalker, absolutely perfect title, 100%. Or we'll see the movie and go, so what the hell did that mean? What the hell did that mean? Kind of like we did with Attack of the Clones. Yeah, there are clones in the movie, but what did that mean? Like we may feel that way. I don't know. It's hard to say at this point. I think I personally think that the design of this title and the release of this title right now was specifically made for us to question, and specifically made for us to speculate about and talk about and theorize over. And if that was the goal, it's mission accomplished. But again, we're not going to know how we really feel about the title till we see the movie. At least I won't. Samir Tesfaye writes, holy smokes, Emperor is back. That son of a bitch is back. Okay, gotta breathe. John, I freaking love that trailer. They are masters at trailers. Wow, seeing Carrie, R.I.P., and Lando was just beautiful. Seeing, those are a couple, before the laughing, those are a couple of highlights of the trailer. Rey doing the flip over the TIE fighter. Seeing Carrie on screen, seeing Lando in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon. something that we haven't really seen since Return of the Jedi. It was great to see. And honestly, seeing Lando in the cockpit of the Falcon, I instantly took me back to him leading the assault on the second Death Star. I had that moment. It was a really solid moment for me. And then the laugh at the end, which was, of course, the big coup de grace of the whole thing. Gio writes, saw the trailer, yawned, went back to Endgame trailer. Hey, look, it was not a mind-blowing trailer. Let's be clear. It wasn't a mind-blowing trailer. But it didn't need to be, which is what I said all along. Look, this doesn't have to be the greatest trailer in the world, but it had to be good. And I think they delivered good. For a trailer that's a first teaser for a movie that doesn't even come out for another 8 months. If it wasn't for Star Wars Celebration, I would say it's too early to put out a trailer. But put it out they did, and I thought it did its job. But I can't disagree with you too much here. I don't think there was anything mind-blowing about the trailer. But a couple good moments, man. A couple good moments. And ending with that Palpatine laugh, that was big. That was a really smart move on their part. And I think they're going to get a lot of mileage out of that. John Robinson writes, title Revenge of Sith feels like a knee-jerk course correction. And wouldn't... Oh, Rise of Skywalker. I seriously. Title Rise of Skywalker feels like a knee-jerk course correction and would have hit harder if The Last Jedi didn't deconstruct classic Star Wars lore. Can they really pull it off? I disagree. First of all, I don't agree at all that The Last Jedi deconstructed classic Star Wars lore. I thought The Last Jedi was firmly consistent with Star Wars and Star Wars lore. That's my opinion. I've had many debates and discussions about that. I feel very, very firmly about that. But again, one can only even speculate, John, that the title is a knee-jerk course correction when we don't even know what the title means. I mean, just in the course of this video, we've heard like 8 different theories as to what it means. If you don't even know what the title means, how can we proclaim it to be a knee-jerk course correction? The only way you can call it a knee-jerk course correction if you go under what I think is a faulty assumption that it's referring to Rey and that Rey actually is a Skywalker, even though they've always said she isn't. And I think it's erroneous to make that assumption. It's as legitimate a theory as any of the other 10. But I just think there's a lot going against it. So you would have to, number one, buy into one of the theories. Then number two, you have to make an assumption that that theory is indeed it. And then after you've done all that, you can look at the title of the movie and say that the title is this and that. But again, it's premature to do that because right now, you and I are in this glorious position that we have no idea what the title means. There's a lot of different things that title could mean. So to proclaim the title as being a course correction, well, if it's about Leia, it's not a course correction. If it's about Luke, it's not a course correction. If it's about Kylo, it's not a course correction. If it's about a new group of Force users, it's not a course correction. If it's about some lost child, it's not a course correction. The only way you can do that is if you blindly reach out and hold on to that theory that JJ is retconning what he set up, saying that Rey wasn't a Skywalker. Now he's going to say she is, and that's what they're doing with this movie, and that's what the title means. That's the only way then you can look at the title and say, well, then it feels like a bit of a course correction. And if you're right, you're right. That would be look like a course correction. But I believe right now, like I said, to me, it just feels way premature to take any sort of an idea as to that we know what this title means, because I simply don't think we do yet. And I think it's a very strong argument to be made that if, for whatever reason, JJ wanted to retcon his own thing of Rey not being a Skywalker, why would you put that in the title of the movie? It makes no sense, especially when you know how JJ likes to do things very secretively. To me, it makes no sense. But then again, none of the theories make sense to me, and one of them may be true, maybe this one. But anyway, that's just kind of the way I feel about it. All right. Typewriter Tango, I love that username. Oops, sorry, I had a bit of a jump. Got to go back a bit. Where is Typewriter Tango? Did I go back too far? Nope. Nope, I gotta go further back. Okay, where are we at here? Typewriter Tango. Love that name, by the way. Typewriter Tango writes, this trailer made me far more excited for this than any Last Jedi trailer did. Those got me hyped, but this first teaser misdirected with Luke with the Jedi must... but that first trailer, talking about The Last Jedi, but that first trailer misdirected with Luke with the Jedi must end line. I just loved this one. But who's to say, right? First of all, that line wasn't a misdirect. That line was in the movie, and it was a part of Luke's philosophy at one point in the movie. So really, that line was not a misdirect, not in any way, shape, or form. It's not like Hulk being in the Wakanda battle scene in Infinity War, because that wasn't even in the movie. That was a misdirect. That line in The Last Jedi was not a misdirect. It was in the movie, and it was something Luke said, and it was something that at the time Luke meant. So it wasn't a misdirect. But, and I really did like that first Last Jedi trailer. I like that first Last Jedi trailer very much. But yeah, again, there are a number of things in this trailer. I'm not blown away by this trailer, but there are a number of things in it to really appreciate it. Again, though, the big boom moment for me is the Palpatine laugh. Even though I like the Last Jedi trailer a little bit better, that moment of the Palpatine laugh with the black screen is the best moment out of any of the I believe out of any of the new sequel of trilogy, out of any trailer we got from The Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and up till now, that Palpatine laugh is the best moment out of any of the trailers. Yes, even more to me than Han Solo stepping into camera going, Chewie, we're home. And get that kid off my lawn. Like, even better than that moment to me was that Palpatine laugh. Not the best trailer overall, but I think the best moment out of any of the trailers. I believe that one's there. So, yeah, there was a lot to like. Stop Motion Trojan writes, I like that name too. I love this trailer a lot. Well, I'm glad you did. Again, I wish I could say I liked it more than I did, but at least I can say it did what it needed to do, which was clearly it got a lot of people on board with it. We've already heard from a number of you guys saying, you know, I was disinterested in Star Wars, but now I'm interested again. I mean, if that isn't mission accomplished, I don't know what is. Denmar95 writes, every generation has a legend, Luke, Anakin, and now Rey. Was it Rey? Are they talking about Rey? They say that, and then they show Rey on screen. Maybe. Maybe not. I mean, it's just another thing for us to talk about, Denmar. That's kind of a beautiful thing about it. The Darman writes, my guess is Rey takes the Skywalker moniker. I mean, look, that's another theory that I heard somebody say in Star Wars Episode 8. Okay, Rey is not a Skywalker, but what if she takes on the Skywalker name? Like, what if Luke passes on his name to her and say, look, Rey doesn't have a last name. She's just Rey. Why not Rey Skywalker? You know, her parents abandoned her. So why not take on the name of the guy who kind of started her on this new direction of her path? I guess that's a theory none of us talked about. Maybe the rise of Skywalker is Rey, but not because she has any tie to the bloodline of Leia or Luke or whatever. Maybe she just takes on the name Skywalker, so the Skywalker name will continue. If they do that, that means the Skywalker saga truly is ending, even though you have a character with the name Skywalker moving on, because she's not really a part of the Skywalker bloodline. I guess that's something we got to consider. Good thinking, Darman. I hadn't thought about that, but that's certainly something to consider. Richard Karate writes, could the kid at the end of episode 8 with the broom be a lost Skywalker kid, and he rises as a new Skywalker and hero for the 10, 11, 12 trilogy? I don't think so. Honestly, to me, I think far too many people, Richard, to be honest, have always read far too much into that kid. To me, that kid at the end with the broom, all that was showing that the Force is doing what it has always done. That's it. Throughout the history of the galaxy, certain children are born Force sensitive. The Jedi identify those kids. If they're strong enough, they take them in to train them, blah, blah, blah. Just because the Jedi are gone doesn't mean the Force isn't still doing what it does throughout the galaxy. And the Force is still indwelling certain children throughout the galaxy. I never thought there was any more significance than that, to be honest with you. And I think a lot of people read too much into that kid, and I think that's where it begins and ends, is that it's just another example that there are children born throughout the universe that are born Force sensitive, and that kid was one of them. But I really don't think there's any more significance than that. I could be wrong, but that's just the way I always saw it. Let's see. Jeremy Miller writes, I knew Shmi was important. I don't get the joke. How Anakin's mom? Okay, I don't get the joke. Is she the last Skywalker? I don't get the joke. It's gone over my head. Everybody else around the world watching this video is laughing, and I'm just the only one who I don't get it. Calvin Wycliffe writes, how in the world did Palpatine survive? Again, that's going to be one of the $1 million questions. Remember, to me, I've always thought, okay, we've seen Jedi jump great distances. Like great distances. And we see Jedi can levitate things. Why would, I remember even as a kid thinking, well, why would we just assume that fall kills Palpatine? So, many different options here. He survived the fall. He got out. There's a clone. The spirit of Palpatine's returned. Palpatine unlocked the secrets of Plagueis and learned how to cheat death and return. I mean, I don't know. That's just yet another one of the big things we're going to speculate about, debate about, have our wild theories over, and we're all going to find out our theories are wrong until we get to Star Wars Episode 9. And yet another thing for us to find out. The Red Hood just sends in a super chat. Thank you so much, Red Hood. So does Amanda and Steven. So Amanda Zapowski, thank you, Amanda. Stephen McDavid, thank you, Stephen. Then we get down to Stephen Hart, who writes, excited for the Death Star wreckage angle. Thoughts? I don't know what you mean by the Death Star wreckage angle. Sorry, I wish I could answer. I just don't know what it is we're talking about. Sorry about that, dude. Chris Jaggard writes, not a fan of this trailer. Still has to do a lot to win me over, but that laugh did surprise me. And you know what, Chris? I think what you just said kind of sums up what my thoughts on that are. It didn't have to be the be-all. This trailer didn't need to be the be-all and end-all. But if it at least got you interested, okay, it didn't win you over, fine. But if it got you a little bit re-interested and it ends with that laugh that gets you, okay, got you with a bit of surprise, now I would propose that you're probably even more ready for when the next trailer comes out in a couple of months, right? So maybe, I don't know, August or something, when the next trailer, probably Comic-Con. Comic-Con is probably when, Comic-Con or D23 is probably when the next trailer is going to drop. But now you're probably a little bit more interested, right? That's what this trailer needed to do. It didn't need to come out and be the big be-all, end-all and win everybody back over. Although it did for some people, it just needed you to go, okay, I'm a little bit interested here. And whether it's the Lando shot that did it, whether it's the Carrie Fisher shot that did it, whether it's the Rey jumping over the ship that did it, or whether it's, like me, the Palpatine laugh, as long as it got you a little bit more interested and go, okay, show me the next one. You haven't won me over, Net, but show me the next one. As long as it's done that, I would suggest they've probably done their job. For a first teaser trailer to a movie that is still 8 months away. If it did that much for you, Chris, it probably did its job. DC Patience writes, so you going to Celebration next year? Love the trailer. They don't normally do Celebration every year, right? Like, I don't think there's a Celebration next year, but will I go to the next Celebration? Let me see how the Star Wars fandom evolves over the next year. Again, this past year has been really rough for me as a Star Wars fan, and I'm sure there's a lot of Star Wars fans who feel the same way. I just found myself this year as a Star Wars fan being really disillusioned about just how dark and frankly evil there are corners of the Star Wars fandom can be. And became very disheartened by how toxic and negative and destructive and evil the Star Wars fandom can be over the past year. And as a guy who has grown up identifying as a Star Wars fan, I'm into film fandom more than most people, so it impacted me a lot. And I'm sure there are other people impacted too. So I'll just have to see how I feel. But that's the reason I didn't go this year, is I was just kind of disillusioned and turned off a bit by what we saw the Star Wars fandom was capable of this past year, what some corners of it were capable of. And it was really disheartening to see. So we'll see how my personal Star Wars fandom evolves over the next few months. Maybe. Xavier Fleming writes, I love you, John Campea. Thank you, Xavier. From Australia, whiskey and 3 a.m. Star Wars is awesome. Dude, if it is that, I don't know what the hour is there. But man, you are a true Star Wars fan. If you stayed up till that hour to make sure you could watch the Star Wars trailer drop, man, my hat's off to you, sir. My salute to you, my international friend. And thank you so much for the kind words, Xavier. I really appreciate it, man. Have a good one, dude. All right. Movie Minutes writes, was that a chunk of the Death Star in the trailer? You know what? Now you are the second person to say Death Star wreckage. Did I miss it? Look, I haven't seen the trailer 4 or 5 times. I've watched it once, and then I scurried to get everything together. Now I got to go back and watch this thing again. Now I have to go back and watch this thing again. Hold on a second. Now I'm going to look up Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. Let me see this. The Rise of Skywalker trailer. Okay, here we go. If you'll indulge me, I'm going to look at this for a second. I'm going to look at this. So I'm going to fast forward past. My buddy Kevin Rubio's texting me right now saying it's Death Star wreckage. Let me move forward a bit and see. Woo, that's loud. Let me bring that up. So yeah, this Christmas. And I'm looking at a planet. It's dark. Kylo fighting, fixing his mask. The stupid looking little droid. Lando back in his ship in the Millennium Falcon with Chewie. The saga comes to an end. What am I missing? Where's Death Star wreckage? Okay, I'm looking again. The hug. Looking at some oceans. Oh, I see. Oh, wow. Okay, I thought that was some weird shaped island in the distance. See, this is why I love having the film fan community. You guys film me, you teach me all this stuff. I thought that was just some weird ass island in the distance. Okay, if that's Death Star wreckage, I'm intrigued. What are they going back there? Oh, because that's where Palpatine's body would be. Okay, now all sorts of theories are going through my head right here. Santez Henderson writes, Rey versus Kylo, 101 fight, very much needed. Yeah, and I still believe that's how this saga ends. I believe this whole saga has been building up to Kylo versus Rey. Full strength, which Kylo never was in their first fight, versus full strength, which Rey still hasn't become. You get that in episode 9. A full strength Kylo versus a full strength Rey in the big epic battle. I think that's how this thing ends. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Anakin's in there. Maybe Luke's in there. Maybe Snoke's in there. I don't know. Maybe Thanos is in there. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But I do believe that's what it comes down to. All right. Caesar Figarola writes, John, big fan of yours. Thank you, Caesar. But the Leia scene brought tears to my eyes. I think this movie will be epic. Will correct the mistakes of episode 8. Well, it depends on what you're talking about, the mistakes. I think episode 8 did some things badly. You guys, if you guys have heard me talk about episode 8, you guys know I think episode 8 did a number of things badly. But I don't think episode 8 made any mistakes. See, that's the difference between me and some people on this. I think there are definitely a number of things that it did badly, but I don't think there were any mistakes. But it'll be interesting to see. And you're right, seeing Carrie Fisher back on screen there again was really nice. And Lando in the cockpit. I mean, there's some good moments. Again, not a trailer that blew me away, but definitely some good moments in there. Thanks for that, Caesar. All right, Kari Neves writes, not a big Star Wars fan. I've seen the original 3 movies, Phantom Menace, The Force Awakens, but nothing between or since. This trailer has me intrigued. And I think that's a good word there, Kari, is that it may not be the big blow-away trailer, but it's an intriguing trailer. It's a curiosity-piquing trailer. It's a trailer that gets you a little invested. And whether it's the nostalgia stuff of Lando and Carrie, whether it's the big reveal of the Palpatine laugh, whether it's whatever it is, it does seem to be an intriguing trailer, a curiosity-piquing trailer that I think will get people a little bit on board. Now we'll see what they do with future trailers as we move forward. Paul Yang writes, get the feeling that this film is using a lot of the concept art from Force Awakens, like how we might be visiting the Death Star. Maybe. That's not a bad theory. That's not a bad theory that we could be looking at something like that. That is definitely a possibility. And again, we'll probably know once the movie comes out, we'll get a better sense of that. But you're right. There's definitely, you do get a much stronger design aesthetic of The Force Awakens in this movie than you did, say, in The Last Jedi. And the fact that it's J.J. Abrams back directing, I'm sure, is no small part of that. The Red Hood writes, with the return of Palpatine, could we see Anakin? It's possible. And again, that has been a theory that's been around since Episode 7, that we could see Anakin return. And that theory got kind of bolstered when Hayden Christensen appeared at Star Wars Celebration Orlando. I don't think so, but you can't reject the possibility. I mean, if Palpatine's back, why not? Corey Harper writes, roll it again. Roll it again. Oh my God, I've got chills. The best part. Oh no, absolutely. No doubt, Corey. No doubt. No doubt. Best part. Dude, just first of all, I thought hearing the laugh was, oh my God, it doesn't get better than this. And then the lights on the stage come up and it's Ian McDiarmid going, roll it again. And it's like, yeah, I thought it couldn't get better. It got better with that one moment there. Curtis Lopez writes, Lando piloted Falcon again. Yeah, baby, dude. So again, flashbacks to Return of the Jedi for me, dude. That was just amazing. Christopher Rivera writes, just sends a super chat. Thank you, Christopher. Seth Mecklenburg writes, thought the trailer was perfect. I cried, screamed, clapped, and gasped, really. Had chills, and my wife, who barely watches Star Wars, had chills too. 10 out of 10. Well, dude, listen, like I said, didn't have that big of an impact on me, but I love hearing that it had that kind of an impact on you. I love that. That is awesome. And for me, the trailer worked. It did what it needed to do with some definite highlight moments, but I love hearing that it had an even bigger impact on a lot of people, including you, Seth, and apparently including your wife. So that's awesome to hear. I always love hearing about fans getting excited. That's great. Austin Becker writes, title reference how Anakin came to actually exist. That's what I said a little bit earlier. Maybe the Rise of Skywalker is a past tense thing. Maybe this whole thing brings the entire saga. Remember, this is the final part of the final trilogy, right? Of the Skywalker trilogy. I think there's a very good chance. You know what? Out of all the theories, this is the one I'm buying into the most. And I'm not buying into it 100%, but I'm buying into it the most, that the Rise of Skywalker is a full circle reference to the fact of the rise of Anakin Skywalker, which is what kicked off this entire Skywalker saga. Right? So I kind of agree with you, Austin. Again, I don't wholly buy into it. That's a theory that has its flaws, but the whole idea that the title reference is how Anakin came to exist. I think that's something we got to keep in mind. MCV Multi-Comic Verse writes, if Palpatine can return, so can Anakin. Again, it's something you can't discount, because if Palpatine can, why not Anakin? I don't think he does, but why not, right? Robert Wild writes, good original trilogy fan service in this trailer. Lando, Leia, Luke narration. I liked The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi and enjoyed the Episode 9 trailer. Intriguing title too. Again, it's a title I'm getting more and more the feeling was specifically designed to get us talking and to get us theorizing and get us speculating. And it has absolutely done that, Robert. Greg Bernie writes, I guess, just sends a super chat. Thank you so much, Greg. Odai Alamani writes, I'm so happy they talked about Jordan. I lived there. That's awesome. I have been to where they filmed. Indiana Jones was also filmed in the Jordan. I didn't realize that. At Petra. Oh, no, wait a minute. I take that back. I did know that. All the love. I always get a kick. Like, for instance, Titans is on TV, right? I didn't really care to watch Titans. And then I found out that Titans films in my hometown of Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. I'm like, what? Okay, time out. Now I got to watch this stuff, which is really cool. So it's always good when you can hear that sort of thing mentioned, that Odai. So thanks for sharing that, man. Vegetable Tube writes, Rise of Skywalker trailer got me crying. Excited and electricity throughout my body. Roll it again. I'm going to say that like 1,000 more times. Again, for me personally, I didn't have that to that degree of a reaction. I thought it was good. I thought it was solid. I think it did what it needed to do with a couple of highlight moments. Carrie Fisher, Lando, the jump over the TIE fighter, and the Palpatine laugh. But I am loving, as a fan, hearing that so many of you guys, as my fellow fans, got even more hyped and more excited about it, and that it did give you that experience. And I think that's awesome. I think that bodes well. Now let's see where they go from here. Let's see where they go from here. And let the speculations begin. So thank you for sharing that, Vegetable Tube. I really appreciate that, man. All right. I'm going to answer just a couple more questions, guys, and then I'm going to take a 2-minute break just so I can go and refill my liquid. We've been going for an hour and a half now. My voice is starting to go a little bit, and I need to refill my cup. So I'm going to answer 4 more questions quick, then just a quick 2-minute break, and we'll get right back to talking Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Anthony M. writes, does Adam Driver ever attend these events? You know what? I can now, right now, not remember if he was at Star Wars Celebration Orlando. I was about to say, well, he was at Star Wars Celebration Orlando, but wait a minute, was he? I think he wasn't. But then again, Adam Driver is really a very busy actor these days, and he's shooting a lot of stuff. So, I don't know. That's a good question. I know he was at the Force Awakens or the Last Jedi premiere. I know he goes to the premieres because I met him at the premiere of the Last Jedi, but does he come to these things? I don't remember. I got to look into that. Good question. ZOMG Ruler writes, they're taking a page from legacy books with Palpatine. I don't know. Are they doing a clone thing? Are they doing a new thing where he actually unlocked the secret of Plagueis and he actually learned the secret of cheating death? I don't know. How did he survive the fall? I don't know. We're going to find that out, though. Stop Motion Trojan writes, will we see Ben, Anakin, or Luke Force Ghost in Episode 9? Well, we're definitely going to see Luke. I mean, because we know Mark Hamill's in the movie. And then we hear him talk in the trailer. We're definitely going to see Luke. That's a non-starter. Ben and Anakin. Don't know. If I had to put money on it, I would say no. But if I had to say, if they said to me, John, Ben or Anakin do appear, which one do you think it is? I would say it's probably Ben because Ewan McGregor has stayed very close with the Star Wars production. So I would guess it was him. But look, it's possible all 3 of them are there. We know that Luke is. If I had to pick one between Ben and Anakin, I would guess that it's Ben, but who knows? Maybe it's all 3. All right, last one I'm going to take, and then I'm going to take a 2-minute break. Stubble McShave writes, alien design was weird, looked like a schlong, but one of the things, I agree, it did look really weird. That big, tall, what was his name? Clark? I can't remember the name of it. That big, tall, orange, yellowish thing. But wouldn't aliens from another galaxy look a little bit weird? Like, do we have to have every alien basically look like a human being, just with different skin or different nose or what? For them to put in a really alien-looking alien, like Jabba the Hutt was a really alien-looking alien, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. All right, I'll take one more. I'm going to take Anthony's, then I'll take a quick break here. Anthony writes, Luke will stay dead for 3 days, and then he will force push a boulder away from his tomb and walk on water and fly up to Bespin and sit at the right hand of Vader, the end. Yeah, Star Wars, George has often talked a lot about how he's put religious imagery in a number of his stuff. And there's clearly, will they go that far? I doubt it, Anthony, and you know that. But man, that would be taking the imagery to an nth degree, wouldn't he? 3 days, rolls away the border, ascends to the hand of Vader. That would be kind of funny. All right, hey guys, listen. I'm going to take a 2-minute break. Hang in there with me. We're going to talk more Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, as soon as I get back and refill my cup. So I'll be right back. Hang right in there. Be back in just a second. All right, guys. And we are back. Whew. Can you believe it says something about fandom when they can come out with a 1-minute trailer and we've already talked for an hour and a half about it and we're just getting started. So let's keep things going. And we will move on now with the next one coming us from Ben Rayner, who writes, wouldn't it be Ben Solo, not Ben Skywalker? Depends on what name he decides to go by. It may be Ben Solo, but he is a Skywalker. He is the bloodline of Darth Vader. And considering his obsession with his grandfather, he very well could go by Skywalker. I mean, I know some people who go by their mother's family name. I mean, normally it's the father's family name, but I know a few people who go by their mother's family name. So there's that. Let's see. Sorry, I just sprinted up the stairs as fast as I could to get back here. Sonito7 writes, best thing about the prequels was pure evil of Palpatine. I think Palpatine, like I said, there's some people who just find Palpatine to be the best character in Star Wars, period, like my wife. Palpatine is a fabulous character, both from his genius and his evil and his conniving and all that kind of stuff, with some cheesy stuff in the prequels, no doubt. But yeah, I think it's safe to say that Palpatine, other than moments of great lightsaber fights, whatever, Palpatine is probably the highlight of the prequels for me. Joshua Kahn writes, hearing the laugh and then seeing the title turned me off the film. Really? Sad we have to pull back nostalgia instead of something new. Well, okay, but time out for a second, Joshua. We right now have no idea what the title means, right? So let's not be too quick. And I mentioned this to somebody earlier too. Let's not be too quick to, first of all, grab onto an assumption as to what the title means and jump in there. This is the Skywalker saga. These 9 episodes are the Skywalker saga. To have the word Skywalker in the title is not a nostalgia play. It's a consistency play. It's a appropriateness play. It's appropriate that the word Skywalker, being this is the final film of the Skywalker saga, that the word Skywalker be in there. Would it not? Does that not make sense? As far as Palpatine goes too, the idea of a returning evil that has long since thought been gone. I mean, because just follow me here. We're a Tolkien fan, were to apply that same logic, go, wait a minute, Sauron? Really? Do we have to go back to that old Silmarillion thing? Really? Do we have to bring that back? That's just a nostalgia play. Why do we have to go? I know there's a different order. I understand that. But just for the point, though. Really? But there's something about this evil who has been, because really from the beginning of the Skywalker saga, Palpatine's been the orchestrator, if you will, of all their pain, to quote Blofeld. I am the author of all your pain. He's been the author of the galaxy's pain. And he's been gone. He's been gone for decades. The notion of a returning evil? It's not like he's been there all along the way. He's been gone, and he hasn't even been mentioned in the last couple of films at all. For that to return, to me, that's not a nostalgia play. That is, if this is the summation of the Skywalker saga, and this guy has been there from the beginning of the Skywalker saga, there's an appropriateness to that. It's not like we've moved on from the Skywalker saga and we're in some other story 20 years from now, and then they mentioned Palpatine again. There's an appropriateness to having him come back for this. Now, I'm not saying that's what I would have written, but to me, it does seem appropriate. Anyway, Ben Rayner writes, maybe plot is trying to bring Luke back. Again, that is one of the trains of thought. What if they think there is a way to bring back Luke Skywalker? And that's what this is all about, bringing back Luke Skywalker. Why not? It's as feasible as any of the other theories I've heard. Again, I don't buy into that theory, but I'm not buying into any of the theories at this point, but why not? Darth Suthius writes, hey, Mr. C, just like with the MCU, I'm not going to theorize or speculate or anything. I'll just take it all in when I see it. Can't wait to take my oldest. Dude, that is the best way to approach it. Now, don't get me wrong. I'll have fun talking about the speculation, and it's fun. I'll have fun talking about the speculation. I'll have fun talking about the theories. But for me, I'm not going to set any theories in stone in my head. None. I'll have a lot of fun talking about them. I'll talk about why I think some maybe have a chance and some maybe don't. But I am not going to get into any position going into Star Wars Episode 9 where I have my theories. I'm not going to do that. To me, that just robs you of your joy. I'm not going to do that. I just want to go into that movie, leave all of it at the door, and just go, show me what you got. What did you come up with? Show me what the movie is. Who cares what I theorized? Who cares what I speculated? Show me what it is. But again, that doesn't mean it's not fun to do a little speculating, right? But I'm just going to leave it all at the door. And I'm not going to get invested. I refuse to get invested in any of them. But come on, it is pretty fun to talk about it though, right? At least I know I do. Dirk Walker writes, I didn't like the sound of the title at first, but must admit, it makes me curious. After The Last Jedi, I didn't think anything would get me back theorizing about Star Wars, and just this title does. And I think that was on purpose. I think that the very nature of this title was designed to get us theorizing and speculating. And if it was, well then hell, mission accomplished, because here we are, speculating, wondering, theorizing. What does it mean? 20 different possible meanings. Which one does it actually come down to? Who knows at this point? And again, I don't really think, Dirk, I'm going to know whether I like the title or not until I see the movie. Once I see the movie, then I go, okay, now the title makes, who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Alex Haina writes, the new Jedi Order will be called Skywalker, Grey Jedi, or whatever they are. It will be the rise of the new kind of Jedi. That is, again, Alex, that is one of the popular things in just an hour and a half since this trailer dropped. That is one of the popular theories we're seeing coming along. That Rise of the Skywalker is a reference to a new breed of Force users that have adopted the name Skywalker. I am a Skywalker, you know. That's look, again, I don't think that's what they're going to do, but it's as valid as any of the other theories I'm hearing, dude. Cat Poop 66, I like that name, writes, absolutely loved the trailer. That was Death Star wreckage at the end, right? Again, I missed it, which is why I love doing these things. You guys point out things that I miss. I missed that. I thought it was just some weird shaped island in the distance, but once you guys mentioned it and I went back over and watched it again, I'm like, oh, hell, yeah. I think that is Death Star wreckage. Do they go there looking for the body of Palpatine? Is that what they're doing? I don't know. I mean, but a lot of things start swirling around in our heads, Kat. A lot of things start swirling around in our heads. Eat That Horse writes, I really hope they're not retconning Rey's background. I don't think they are. I didn't love The Last Jedi, but as a lifelong Star Wars fan, I thought her being a nobody was perfect in contrast to Kylo. But hey, that's just my feelings. Oh, I completely agree. Because, like I said this from the beginning, Eat That Horse, right from Star Wars Episode 7. First of all, I thought Episode 7 made it very clear that she was not a Skywalker. I thought Episode 7 made it very clear she's not a Skywalker. And then we get into Episode 8. And by the way, I still can't believe how many people miss this. Some people still say, well, when they say in the movie in Episode 8 that her parents were nobody, maybe that was just Kylo lying to her. It's like, guys, you're forgetting. Kylo didn't tell her that. She knew it. She's the one who said it. Kylo just looked at her and said, look, you know who your parents are. You've always known. And she's the one who said they were nobody. Kylo did not tell her that. She knew that. She's always known that. And we've always known it if we paid attention to Star Wars Episode 7. Could they be retconning that? It is a possibility. It is a possibility. I don't think so. It doesn't seem to make sense to title the movie this if you're going to retcon that big, important piece of information. But, see, I agree. I always liked the fact that she came from nobody because that's the way the Force always worked. Throughout the tens of thousands of years of the Jedi, that's how the Force worked. It took somebody from non-Force user parents. By the way, every Jedi came from non-Force using parents. The Jedi would find a child from non-Force using parents who was born with a gift, and they rose up and became a hero. They became a Jedi. And I love the fact that the Force was awakened again. in this new person, Rey, who came from, just like all the Jedi before her, came from nobody. I loved that. It was right. It was appropriate. It didn't shrink the universe. You know, oh, she's Luke's daughter, just like Luke was Darth Vader's son, and this person used to be Yoda's dog, and this used to be that. Like, why keep shrinking the universe? Make it bigger. Anyway, that's why I agree with you, eat that horse. But we cannot deny that it is a possibility they may do that. I don't think they should. I don't think they are. But it is a possibility, and we can't turn a blind eye to that. JBKB24 just sends in a super chat. Thank you so much, JB. Mike Hill writes, maybe Rise of Skywalker means your theory is correct. The Luke is, in fact, alive, and I'm not sure what else it could mean. Well, Mike, we've heard there are a lot of different theories as to what it could mean. A lost child, Kylo Ren, Leia, Luke being back, a new breed of Skywalker, a new breed of Force user. Maybe it's a reference to Anakin Skywalker and the full circle to when he rose, and that's what this is about. I mean, there's a lot of different theories out there that we got to keep our minds open to. Oh God, I hope it's that Luke's still alive. I wanted that for so long. I don't think he is, but man, I want that so bad. Senor Musashi writes, just sends in a super chat. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Alex Hana writes, Sheev mother effing Palpatine. Does this mean the script leaks could potentially be legit? Oh, I don't think so. Look, there are script leaks that represented just about every single theory out there. There are. I've seen so many reported script leaks that said all sorts of BS that basically run the gamut of every theory you can possibly come up with. So no, I don't think those are legit. Doshi writes, Emperor back, Snoke a failed Emperor clone? I don't know. Look, I'll be frank with you. I kind of like the fact that we don't know. I like the fact that we, the audience, much like the rest of the universe, that to us as the audience, much like to the rest of the universe, Snoke remains a mystery. And I kind of dig that, I gotta say. Stubble McShave writes, could Palpatine's voice be from a holocron? Possible. Yes. But, I don't know. Like maybe when they go to that Death Star wreckage, they find a holocron, a Sith holocron. And that's from a pre-recorded message of him. Maybe they're trying to find out the secret to raise back Luke from the dead, just the way, Palpatine was trying to find out. I mean, I don't know. It's totally possible. So, yes, could it be from a holocron? I don't think so, but yep, it could be. It absolutely could be. That's a good thought. I hadn't considered that one before, Stubble. All right. Neil before Zimmer, I like that name, writes, Rise of Skywalker probably means the death of the last Skywalker, Leia, and is a tribute to the Skywalker clan. That's one that I hadn't thought of either. That's one that hasn't been brought up yet. Neil, I like that. It is possibly a tribute. And again, maybe the rise of a whole new group named after the legendary family. Maybe. It's possible. Camelio 10 writes, it's funny, this trailer looks like a sequel to Force Awakens. Well, and it does, you're right. But the obvious reason is you've got the director there, right? Like I mentioned before, this movie aesthetically clearly feels a lot more like The Force Awakens than The Last Jedi did, but that's no coincidence because it's the same director from the two movies. It's the same director from The Force Awakens. So not surprised that it feels that way because it's the same director, so it's kind of natural. Manny Rivera writes, nice to hear your voice getting better. Yeah, until I do a 3-hour video talking about Star Wars. I got so hyped, I force projected and crashed Twitter. Sorry, not sorry. Dude, man. A lot of references, by the way, in that panel to force projection. There was a lot of references to that, which is kind of cool to hear. Anyway, yeah, it's nice to see the fandom responding to it. It's nice to see, even if they're responding to it more positively than me, I like seeing that. I gotta say, I really do like seeing that. And if you wouldn't mind, Manny, maybe you could fix Twitter. Get Twitter back up and running. Anyway, Mark Smith writes, hey, John, love you, buddy. Thank you so much. All the way from the UK. Thank you so much. I got to get out to the UK sometime. I've never been there. Loved the trailer. 2 things. Was that Death Star wreckage? Apparently, I missed it, dude. I missed it when I first saw it, but apparently, according to everybody else, it was. Now that I see it again, it looks like it was. And what does next trailer need to do to blow you away? Keep up the great work. See, it's hard to say, Mark, because I mean, I don't know what the movie is. So it's hard for me to say what the trailer should show me to blow me away. I don't know the movie. I don't know what it will take. I just know that I'll know it when I see it. Maybe a little bit more action. Maybe showing me a shot of Palpatine. Oh my God. Oh my God. You show a shot of Palpatine and Luke, whether he's alive or a Force ghost or whatever, Palpatine and Luke coming face to face. Defecation everywhere. I'm crapping my pants. Urine is flowing freely from my body all over the place, and I will weep like a baby. So you want to ask me something that they could put in the next trailer that'll just make me lose my mind? That's it, buddy. You show me Palpatine and then Luke coming and looking at each other all mean. Bodily functions gone. I'm going to weep. I'm going to laugh. I'm going to dance. I'm going to piss all over the place like a released fire hose. All over the place. That's going to be me. That's something. Now, I'm sure there are many, many, many other things that could get me that hyped as well. But that would definitely be one of them that would put the icing on the cake, Mark. Just fire hose all over the place. That'll be me. All right. Kaylin Bryson writes, I think the rise of Skywalker means the family rise. Maybe, but this is the end of the line for the Skywalkers, so I'm not sure about that. That's the thing. This is the end of the Skywalker saga. The family line comes to an end here. So I don't know. It's one way of looking at it, Kaylin. We'll find out in 8 months. Denmar95 writes, I'm so excited. Now I need to watch episode 7 and 8 tonight. That's always the great thing. I remember when I saw the first trailer for Infinity War, the first thing I did was I went back and watched Age of Ultron again. I did. That's when you know that a trailer excites you for a franchise film, is when you immediately feel the need to go back and watch other films in the franchise. So I feel you. Senor Mushashi writes, Kylo Ren is a Skywalker. Leia is his mom. He rises. Hey, look, that is definitely one of the theories. The theory that Rise of Skywalker is him abandoning the Kylo Ren moniker, embracing the light side again, becoming redeemed, and embracing Ben Skywalker and taking on the name Ben Skywalker. I think he's beyond redemption. I don't think they're going to do that. But again, it is one of those theories that you have to give some consideration to because it definitely fits, right? Lamar McLeod writes, Rey trains a Luke clone that Palpatine created. That's more one of those more far-fetched ideas you would have written in an extended universe novel. So I don't think so. But at this point, we can't really dismiss anything out of hand. Hold on a second. My wife is texting me. So I will get back to her in a second here. Anyway, we can't dismiss anything out of hand. In as much as I don't think that sounds like something that would fit into the movie at all, Lamar, I gotta say, we can't dismiss it. Anything's possible at this point, dude. Alex Haina writes, do you think this is the trailer they needed to release? Did it hit all the points you thought it should hit? I'll say this, Alex. Like I said on my video the other day, this is the most important trailer Star Wars has ever put out. I said it doesn't need to be the best trailer they've ever put out, not at all, but it's got to be good. It has to be solid. There is no room for error. It has to be good and it has to be solid. It doesn't have to be the best. It doesn't have to blow our minds away, but it must be at least good. I think they accomplished that. I think it's clear they put out a pretty good trailer. For a first teaser trailer to a movie that doesn't come out for 8 months, and to end it the way they ended it, you had a lot of the new with, Rey flipping over a ship. You had a lot of the nostalgia. Lando, Carrie Fisher, and you had the big surprise at the end, the laugh of Palpatine. Yeah, I think this was a mission accomplished. I think we can call this trailer mission accomplished. Best trailer they ever put out? Nope, but it didn't need to be. It just needed to be good. It needed to be solid, and I think they did that. Mr. Wicked7 writes, so Palpatine is back. Any chance of Hayden too? Again, that's what a lot of people are asking at this point. I don't think he'll be back, but If Palpatine, why not Anakin? And with Hayden Christensen making an appearance at Star Wars Celebration in Orlando, a lot of people wondered when that happens, like, hey, does this mean he's coming back into the family? Hey, man, look, I don't think he will, but I'm not going to choke on my popcorn in surprise if he does. I think it's a definite possibility. Stubble McShave writes, do you think Naomi's character is a relative to Lando? Nah, I don't think so. I mean, it's kind of like the same thing. When we first saw our pictures of Finn, right? When we first saw pictures of John Boyega's Finn, he's black. He's got to be Lando's kid, right? Remember? There was a whole bunch there. Oh, well, he's Lando. He's going to be Lando Calrissian's son. It's like, why? Because he's black? Well, I guess there hasn't been any other black characters in the Star Wars universe up until that point. But, I mean, just because he was black, he must have been... But again, it goes back to this tendency that Star Wars fans seem to have that everybody has to be related to somebody. And I think we need to move away from that. And I think Star Wars needs to move away from that. That's why I was so glad that Rey wasn't a Skywalker. Get rid of this notion that everybody's got to be related to everybody. So, no. I do not think she's going to be related to Lando. They did make a joke about it during the panel, but I don't think she's going to be related to Lando. At least I hope she's not, because, again, shrinking the universe instead of expanding it. Dirk Walker writes, amazing that they came up with a title that plays to so many Star Wars theories, mysteries, race parentage, Kylo's redemptions, Leia's role, Luke's return. Absolutely. And in that way, Dirk, it's a perfect title. If that was the whole point of it, to come up with a title that plays into so many wildly different theories and then get everybody talking and get everybody guessing, then my God, it's hard to imagine coming up with a better title if that was their goal. It's hard to imagine another title that would do it as much as a title like Rise of Skywalker. Because that, you know, we're all going to be arguing, debating about this for months to come, right? And I think that was specifically by design. Synergy Lund writes, could Rise of Skywalker be Rey and Kylo's kid? Ooh. Well, now you just opened a whole can of worms, Synergy. Well, look, they clearly never, rubbed nasties together. They never did the filthy during episode 8. But I don't know, Kylo gets redeemed, and the end of Star Wars episode 9 is like the end of Lion King, where Simba and Nala and Rafiki, he just shows them falling in love, and then it cuts to a year later, they come out, holding up the new Skywalker for the whole universe to cheer and whatever. I don't know. Look, I thought we had heard all the theories already, Synergy. You managed to find a way to throw in a new theory. Could this be about a new kid? Here's my problem with it, though, is the same thing about Rey being a Skywalker, is that this is supposed to be the end of the Skywalker story. So to have a new Skywalker born at the end seems to go counter to that, but it's possible. We got to think about it. All right. Shane Bennis writes, definitely some Death Star wreckage at the end. Yep. I've come to agree with you guys. I can't believe I didn't even notice it the first time. I just thought it was some weird shaped island. Rani Paz writes, Rise of Luke, maybe? Cheers from Brazil. Rise of Luke. Rise of Luke. I don't think it is, but dude, anything short, not that we're trying right now, but I'm just saying, anything short of my wife coming to me one day, holding my hands and saying, honey, we're having a baby, which we're not trying to right now, just so you know, but I can't imagine any words bringing more joy to my heart than Luke's back. No, I can't imagine, I don't think that's what they're doing, but it is hard to imagine any other words being spoken to me that would elicit more joy in my heart than that. It's possible. I don't think that's what they're doing, but oh my God, it would make me so happy. Please do that. Red Hero writes, Rise of Skywalker, in the end of the movie, Kylo and Rey will have a child. You're the second person to throw that in there. Again, something I haven't thought about. Again, possible, certainly fits. My one problem with it, though, is that this is supposed to be the one that ties off the Skywalker story. And that would, obviously be the opposite of ending the Skywalker story. But it is possible, Red. We got to keep that in mind. Ladislav Masonic writes, did your 5% Luke is alive chance rise? Nope, it's still at 5%. Still only at 5%. I still believe 95% he's dead, he's gone. If we're going to see him, it's going to be a Force ghost. But now you assholes have all got me hoping that he's going to come back. Thanks a lot for nothing. Now you got my hopes up again just so they can be dashed. Now I'm all bitter and I'm all bitter and moody now. I don't know. No, I'm gonna stick with it at 5% from now, but I gotta admit, now I'm gonna be excited about the notion. Well, I gotta get over this. Anyway, Zenquility ND writes, what if Palpatine studied how Plagueis could create life and created Rey? I think you probably meant tie. Could tie everything up nicely. Thoughts? That could be. I mean, listen, the idea of Palpatine having used the Force, because in the comics they've now said that Palpatine basically did immaculate conception with Shmi by using the Force and manipulating midichlorians and blah, blah, blah. Oh, such BS. Anyway, what's to say that a hidden, survived Palpatine didn't do the same thing and create Rey? It's possible. It is. It would explain a lot of things. Again, I don't think that's what they're doing, but it fits in to a number of other things we know. So the possibility is absolutely there. It's a good thought, Zenquility. Christopher Ferrante just sends a super chat. Thank you, Christopher. Argos Green writes, The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, Rise Skywalker. Why not? You string it all together in one big sentence. Harix80 writes, Rey could just adopt the name Skywalker. Again, that's something somebody mentioned a little bit earlier in the broadcast, and yeah, I buy into that. Let me rephrase. I don't think that's what happens, but that's a good theory. That by the end of this thing, she just goes, look, she has no last name. She has no real family, no bloodline family. Why not take on the name of Skywalker to honor Luke Skywalker, her hero? Why not? That makes total sense. It's not retconning anything they've said before, but it carries on the name. Makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. I don't think that's what they're going to do, but it does make sense. Markandale Productions writes, do you think this was the trailer we needed? Yes. Yeah. Was it as good as it could have been? No, it probably could have been better, but it was good and it was solid and it is what they needed. It's got everybody talking. It's got everybody speculating. Hell, guys, we've been doing this video for 2 hours now, talking about a 1-minute trailer. We've been talking about a 1 or 2 minute trailer now for 2 hours, and we're just scratching the surface, right? So yeah, I think if nothing else, that's a pretty good sign that it was mission accomplished. Sean Mahalan just sends in a super chat. So does Gregory Drop. Thank you so much, guys. Mr. 47 writes, I just want to see 2 lightsabers touch. Well, there are places on the internet you can go for that, mister. That's all I'm saying. I'm not here to judge your preferences. All right. Amlan writes, Return of the Jedi, Revenge of the Sith, Rise of Skywalker. These titles are consistent for third stories. Actually, yeah, you're right. I mean, there's definitely a cadence, Amlan, to all the titling. Even, Attack of the Clones, Return of the Jedi, Revenge of the Sith, Rise of the Skywalker. I mean, the Rise of Skywalker, I should say. There's definitely a cadence in all of the Star Wars titles. There's a consistency to them, and even for the titles I don't like, I kind of like they all follow that cadence. So it's a good observation, man. Austin Becker writes, Palpatine, Hermit, and Death Star wreckage. Hey, dude, that's maybe he's been surviving in there this whole time. Maybe. So why are they going looking for him? I don't know. Maybe Rey just felt a big disturbance in the Force and they go looking and Kylo's looking for him too. I don't know. I mean, there's so many possibilities, but yep, we could have Hermit Palpatine living there, kind of like Obi-Wan was living in the Tatooine desert. Pat Deary writes, over under 45%, we see Sidious alive in the movie. Oh, at this point, I'll take the over. I'd probably take over 70 at this point. Like, it's not a guarantee. It's not a for sure thing, but I think we've got to take over 45% on that, Pat. Absolutely. Dean Halzapfel writes, Do think the laugh is a misdirection and just put there because of the shot of the Death Star? No. That wouldn't be okay. At that point, that's not a misdirection. That's a pure up deception. Because say what you will about the Hulk in Wakanda shot, Hulk is in Infinity War. Hulk's there. Not in as much as we thought he would be in, and not in the scene we thought he was in, but Hulk is in Infinity War. To completely do something like this, to tell the audience and get the audience excited that Palpatine is in this movie, only to go, pull a 1980s psych, and then he's not, that is just going to piss everybody off. Oh my God, that would be franchise suicide. That would just piss everybody off. Can you imagine? At any rate, and you don't exasperate that by having the lights on stage coming up and have Palpatine himself, Ian McDiarmid, on stage going, roll it again. Like, yeah, franchise suicide, my friends. Franchise suicide. Lance Pro 85 writes, Skywalker, Jedi, a new Force school. Make the most sense if Disney wants to pay homage to the original trilogy as the timeline moves on. Like, I'm not, what do you mean? Like, are you saying, Lance, that if, like, these new Force users just take on the name Skywalker, I am a Skywalker? If so, that's kind of seems to be one of the dominant theories. There are a couple of dominant theories here that I see emerging. One, Rey takes on the name of Skywalker, just to take on the name. Two, the Skywalker is the new name of the Force users. Three, that Kylo gets redeemed. And then there are 17 other theories as well. If that's one of the theories you're saying, yeah, again, I don't think that's what they're going to do, but it does make sense and it does fit and it could be exactly what they're going for here. Darth Suthius writes, I don't care what others say. I love this new trilogy. Disney is doing a good job and they haven't ruined anything in my eyes. I'm very appreciative of these new Star Wars that we are getting. Dude, I'm a fan too. Now look, I've got my problems with Star Wars The Last Jedi, but overall I still liked it. And I think they did some very, very bold things with it. Oh, look, where does The Last Jedi rank for me? Well, it's Return of the Jedi, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, then The Force Awakens, then Rogue One, then Solo, and then The Last Jedi for me. I still like it, but it's down here. But overall, I love The Force Awakens. I love what JJ did with The Force Awakens. I love that movie. And to see him come back and to get a sense of that feel again is pretty damn good. And I'm on board. Now, that doesn't mean that this movie's going to be good. The movie could be crap. We don't know. We're going to have to wait and find out. But I got faith. I got faith in JJ. Let's see how this all kind of turns out. Thank you for sharing your enthusiasm, Darth. I appreciate that, man. It's always good to hear that type of enthusiasm. Brimk70 writes, title to me means that Force Ghost Luke will be very important, will be very prominent and powerful. Will Palpatine explain who Snoke is? On the Snoke thing, I don't need to know who Snoke was. It's not important. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who he was. Just like in the original trilogy, we didn't need to know we didn't need to know Palpatine's background. All we needed to know was the Emperor was a big bad guy. That's all we needed to know. Anything else wasn't important to the story. And I would suggest that right now, going into the background of Snoke is just wasted time. It doesn't make any difference now. It doesn't matter who he was. All we needed to know was Snoke was big, he was bad, and he was powerful. That's all we needed to know for the story. Anything else is just wasted time. It's unimportant details that have no influence over the rest of the story. So I don't think we need to know anything. I'm sure Palpatine knows everything about him. Of that, I have no doubt. But he doesn't need to share that with us, the audience. I don't think that's important. All I can say about the first part there, Brimmick, about that the title to you means Luke will be a very prominent and powerful figure in the movie. God, I hope you're right. God, I hope you're right. That would be awesome. I would love it. Fire hose. I would lose my mind. It would be incredible. I would absolutely love it. Again, I don't know if that's true, but oh my God, sign me up if it is, dude. Sign me up if it is. All right. Red Kite Films writes, Rise of Skywalker is about Anakin and how he was created and about his family and legacy. Hence Palpatine. Just my thoughts, yours. Dude, again, it's a theory I'm digging. I'm getting more and more on board with it the more I think about it. There's a poetic nature to it as well. If this film represents the final closing of the Skywalker saga story, to bring that all the way back to the beginning of the story and saying that this title is actually a reference to Anakin and how all this started, that works to me. Again, I'm not necessarily thinking that's what's going to happen, but it works. And it would make a lot of sense. So I'm liking this theory more and more that I hear about it, Red Kite. All right, Sam Denmer writes, I love that they are bringing Palpatine back. However, I would rather than bring back Snoke or a completely new threat. I think there will be a Snoke and Palpatine storyline. They have to connect thoughts. No, I don't agree at all. I don't think there's any need. I don't think there's any purpose to doing anything background on Snoke. We knew exactly what we needed to know about Snoke. He played his role in the story, and now any other details is completely unimportant and serves no purpose other than to address our curiosity. We don't need to waste screen time on just addressing our curiosity. Move on. And by the way, depending on what the story is, it is absolutely essential to have Palpatine in this. To have it be some random other bad guy, if they're tying off this entire Skywalker story, then you gotta have Palpatine back. Again, this is coming from a guy who doesn't know what's in the movie. I don't know what's in the movie. I'm making pure speculations at this point, just like everybody else. But it seems to me if you're tying this into Anakin, if you're tying things up, if you're really bringing a conclusion to the Skywalker saga, then it seems to me that you bringing in a brand new bad guy seems kind of frivolous. It seems much more appropriate to bring back Palpatine. But that's just my thought right now. Now, here's the thing, Sam. We may watch the movie and go, well, bringing back Palpatine was completely useless, right? Or we may watch the movie and go, oh my God, there was no way you could do this movie without bringing back Palpatine, right? We're simply not going to know till we see the movie. I'm going to give JJ the benefit of the doubt for now and guess it's the latter. We're going to watch the movie and go, oh yeah, you couldn't have possibly done this without Palpatine being the guy. It had to be Palpatine for all this to make sense. I don't know that, but I'm going to give JJ the benefit of the doubt on that that's the purpose for bringing him back. Because I definitely don't think they just brought him back just for the sake of bringing him back. You know what I mean? So we'll wait and find out. Let's see. Louis Olivo writes, end of saga, but Rise of Skywalker, 3-hour movie? I don't know. No Star Wars film's ever gotten close to that. I don't think... Look, here's the thing I've always said. Longer does not equal better. Longer doesn't equal better. They should make this movie the exact length that it should be. And if that's 2 hours, make it 2 hours. If it's 90 minutes, like Star Wars A New Hope, make it 90 minutes. And hey, if it's 3 hours, make it 3 hours. But longer does not equal better. Longer just equals longer. Shorter just equals shorter. Make this movie the length it needs to be. Other than that, I don't give two squirts of piss about how long the movie is. I'll just trust that JJ will make it the right length for this movie. And if that's an hour and 45 minutes, then it's an hour and 45 minutes. If it's 2 hours and 45 minutes, then it's 2 hours and 45 minutes. If it's 3 hours and 10 minutes, then it's 3 hours and 10 minutes. I'm honestly not going to worry about it and not even think about it. It is what it is. And as long as they make it the right length, that's all that's important to me. Shaq Plays writes, the roles of Jedi and Sith are now Skywalkers. Again, that seems to be one of the dominant theories, and it makes a lot of sense. I don't know that they're going to do that, but it does make a lot of sense, Shaq Plays. DJCD01 writes, what if the Broom Kid is the Skywalker? Again, I think people way overanalyze the Broom Kid. The Broom Kid isn't anybody. The Broom Kid is just, again, the Force doing what it has always done for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. It goes out, and it imbues some random kids with Force sensitivity. That's all that was. All that shot at the end of The Last Jedi was telling us that the Force is at work and is moving throughout the universe again. That's all it said to me. I don't think the kid is anybody, to be honest with you. Haskell420 writes, we know Jedi can be Force ghosts, but nothing ever said we can't have Sith ghosts. Ghost Yoda zapped a tree. Got a feeling Luke versus Palpatine will happen. Well, see, here's the thing, Haskell. Nothing has ever said that Sith can't be ghosts, but nothing has ever said that they can. And when you watch the Clone Wars with Yoda, that whole storyline they had with Yoda in the Clone Wars, it was a thing he learned. It was a training and a thing he learned that he then passed down to Obi-Wan. And then Obi-Wan had it and he never passed it down to Luke. Then again, it was never passed on to Anakin either, and he figured it out. But the long and short of it is, the way they set it up in Clone Wars was it was strictly from Jedi in his line. It was from Yoda in his line, which is Jedi. While it is true, there is nothing that says it can't be Sith, it is also true that there's nothing there that says it can be. So, we could have a Force ghost Luke fight a very alive Palpatine. We could have that. That could be there. I don't think we're getting a Force ghost Palpatine, though. I don't think we're getting a Force ghost Palpatine. But at this point, Haskell, like we said for a lot of the theories, anything's possible. It'll be, look, if they show us a trailer of Luke's face coming into frame and then Palpatine's face coming into frame and they look all mean and nasty, I'm telling you, fire hose, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to go all over the place. It's not going to be pretty. It's going to be rather disgusting, but there's going to be a lot of joy. Albert Ukrainsky writes, Broom Boy is Skywalker, new Force user, not Jedi or Sith. If you're saying the Broom Boy is this new breed of the Skywalker, maybe. But again, I think we're all looking far too much into the Broom Boy. I don't think he's anybody in particular. Maybe he grows up to become the new order of Skywalker. Possible. Kaylin Bryson writes, Palpatine sold, must watch. Yeah, I gotta say, man, if there was any apprehension in me watching that trailer, and I thought the trailer was good, but if there was any apprehension in me watching that trailer, that apprehension pretty much disappeared. Also, I just got an interesting text here from Kevin Rubio, inventor, writer of Star Wars comics. Kevin is also the creator of the greatest fan film ever made, Troops. And this is what Kevin just wrote to me. He said the following: as a writer on Clone Wars, I can tell you, I didn't even realize, Kevin, that you were a writer on Clone Wars, okay? I didn't even realize that. I knew all this other stuff, didn't know you were a writer on Clone Wars. As a writer on Clone Wars, I can tell you that George did set out rules as to why Sith cannot be ghosts. In fact, ghost is not a term that is used by George. Intriguing. So that adds a little bit more of a dimension to it. Thanks for sharing that, Kevin. Let's see here. Nero writes, Sidious will have an apprentice who isn't Kylo? Maybe. I mean, it all depends on what they're doing with Sidious, though, right? If Palpatine has just been slowly recovering over 40 years from his injuries suffered at the destruction of the Death Star and at the hands of Vader, then he hasn't had time to get an apprentice. But maybe, now I'm just speculating here, Nero, maybe he's now back to his strength and he's decided it's time for me to have a new apprentice. And he looks out in the galaxy and he sees this Kylo Ren, who is a descendant of Anakin Skywalker. And he goes, ah ha ha, and he decides he's going to go get this Kylo Ren to be his apprentice. Maybe it's possible. Or maybe he has an apprentice when we meet him. I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. Lots and lots of possibilities though, dude. Lots and lots of possibilities. Okay. Next up, Pretty All Right writes, hey, John, are you expecting some monumental plot twists and appearances by old characters in the movie? I would have said no, other than the fact that we knew Lando was coming back, but that went out the window. If you mean other than Palpatine, nah, I'm not expecting much. Again, there are some very legitimate theories about maybe Anakin making an appearance, maybe an Obi-Wan ghost, maybe a Snoke, although I don't see how that's possible. But I suppose how that's possible. But other than the Palpatine one, which was revealed in the trailer, I don't know that I'm expecting to see anything else. I don't know that I'm expecting to see anything else significant. You know what I'm saying? I don't know that I'm expecting to see anything else significant on that level. But hey, look, I wasn't expecting Palpatine either. And it appears we're getting Palpatine, which is both intriguing and fascinating and exciting kind of all at the same time. So we'll see how all that kind of unfolds pretty. Okay. Anthony Norrell, who sends in a very generous super chat. Thank you so much, Anthony, for supporting the channel that way. I appreciate that, man. That's really nice. Anyway, new theory. Here we go. Here's a new one. Skywalker versus Palpatine, round 2. Palpatine wants revenge on Luke because Vader betraying him and trying to kill him in episode 6. Looks like Palpatine survived the fall and will use Kylo Ren as a part of the revenge to Luke and Rey. Possible. As of right now, Kylo doesn't even know he exists. Kylo doesn't know the Emperor exists. But as we were just talking, and now we're getting into wild, baseless theorizing. So let's just acknowledge that right off the top. This is all wild, baseless theorizing. But what if, the Emperor, Palpatine, has now regained his strength and he decides it's time for me to take on a new apprentice? Could that then lead us into the story that he is now going out and decides it's got to be Kylo Ren? That makes a lot of sense. Kylo Ren is arguably the most powerful Force user left alive in the galaxy. He does lean to the dark side. So if Palpatine was going to go after anybody, wouldn't it make sense it would be Kylo? Or what if we're looking at it wrong? What if Kylo isn't of interest to Palpatine because he wants him as an apprentice? What if Palpatine sees him as a threat? Says, oh, there can only be one Dark Lord of the Sith, or whatever, right? And he decided this Kylo thing is a problem. I just need to sweep it. And what if he's after Kylo Ren to kill him? I mean, that's a possibility too, right? So the whole notion about Luke's dead, apparently. 5% chance he's alive, but Luke's dead, most likely. So there's not much use in getting revenge on Luke. There could be wanting revenge on the galaxy. But, Palpatine isn't about revenge. Palpatine's about power. He wants power. And I think if Palpatine had the choice to take revenge on somebody or to get back control of the universe, he's going to take getting back control of the universe. Because, pardon me, wouldn't that ultimately be the best expression of revenge? To take back over the universe again? You took it away from me, but I just came back in and I took it right back. That's a possibility too. But what I think a few of you guys, including you, Anthony, are really drawing a strong parallel to is that there's got to be some connection between the reemergence of Palpatine and Kylo Ren. There's got to be a connection there. Whether it's a known connection or whether it's something that's a complete mystery to Kylo, there's got to be some sort of connection there. Whether he sees him as a threat, whether he wants him as an apprentice, whether he sees Kylo as his avenue now to take back over his galaxy. Is he his grandfather's replacement? Replace your grandfather at my side. Something like that. Maybe. There's a lot of exciting possibilities that these things present to us right now, Anthony, and I'm dying to find out what they are. So interesting thought, Anthony. And again, thank you for that super chat, man. I appreciate that. Okay. Alan Gonzalez writes, that big ship at the end was a Death Star. I think Palpatine is inside. That seems to be the theory we're all coming up with. He's been living in there, living in a storage closet, some part of it that didn't get destroyed. I don't know. Maybe it's possible. Anthony Jones writes, both Darth Plagueis and Darth Sidious created Anakin, sort of, but really it was the Force. Maybe Sidious survived and created life again. Yeah, possible. And that seems to be a theory that going all the way back to episode 7, that somehow the Force created Rey, but she had parents, but maybe Sidious from his little hovel in his fallen Death Star, just surviving and healing over the decades, reached out through the Force and created new life and created Rey to someday become his apprentice. I don't know. Or could that be again, there's so many questions there. I just don't know. And could there be another Skywalker that he's after? Maybe Sidious, maybe Palpatine himself reveals that there is another Skywalker child out there that nobody knew about. I don't know. Possible, I suppose, but unlikely. Kaylin Bryson writes, Phil Kent better be Star Wars 9. I don't know what that means, Kaylin. Sorry about that. Alejandro Acosta writes, something important must happen on that piece of the Death Star. Oh, absolutely. And it's probably where, little Emperor Sidious has been kind of holding up. That's probably, but you're right. Something important is there. They went and found that piece of the Death Star for a reason. Are they on the moon of Endor? Was that a piece of the Death Star that blew across the galaxy and crashed it on another planet somewhere? Who knows? But I absolutely agree with you, Alejandro. There's something important there. They had to go there for a reason. They didn't just stumble across it. So I agree with you. What that thing is, we're going to have to find out. Probably Palpatine. Silent Kid just sends in a super chat. Thank you, Silent Kid. Lincoln Johnson writes, really wish Han lived on so we could have a Han and Lando reunion. Dude, listen, I think one of the big criticisms and regrets has been that we never had Han, Luke, and Leia on screen together again. The story comes first. I agree. The story comes first. It needs to come first. It must come first. I agree with that. But after all those years, I mean, look, we should just be happy that we got to see Han and Leia and Luke and Chewie and the Falcon and R2 and 3. We should just be happy that we got to see them all again. But it does feel like a bit of a missed opportunity that we never got to see the 3 of them together. It would have been nice. Ultimately important? Probably not, but it would have been nice. Let's see. Where are we off now? We're down to Trav. And Trav writes, we see Kylo attacking his own men, someone fixing his helmet, and then hear Palpatine's laugh at the end. Perhaps it's the twins/Dark Luke storyline with a Palpatine twist. Okay, for those of you who do not know what he's talking about, in the books, in the Star Wars Extended Universe books, also now known as Legends, Luke and Leia had twins. And there is no Ben Solo. There is no Ben. So they had twins. And the twins, one of them goes back, and there's a lot of saving their lives. Chewie got hit by a planet and died. What? Yeah, no, seriously, it really happened. Don't ask me to explain it right now. Anyway, so could this be a little bit of a turn on the twins mythology? Maybe. I'll be honest with you, I've kind of given up, other than Thrawn himself, I've kind of given up on the notion of reaching out and basing any kind of theories on extended universe stuff. Because aside from Thrawn, they really haven't brought a lot of it in. Some for sure, but not an awful lot. As far as Kylo attacking his own men, I've watched that clip a couple times now. My first assumption, when Kylo does that choke slam on the one dude, that looks like that could be a Knight of Ren. Looks like it could be one of the Knights of Ren, but I'm not positive that was a Knight of Ren. I'll have to watch it again. Maybe if I watch it a little more closely, I'll change my mind to that. But I didn't. I wasn't sure that was one of the Knights of Ren. My buddy Soul, who is, I guess, watching this thing, is watching the stream as we're going on 2.5 hours now. And he just wrote to me and said, don't you have to use the bathroom? Yes. As a matter of fact, I do have to use the bathroom. Anyway, let us continue. So I'm not sure if that was a Knight of Ren. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. If it was, what the hell went on between Kylo and the Knights of Ren? He's the master of the Knights of Ren. Why did the Knights of Ren turn on him? He is the master of the Knights of Ren. Why are they turning on him? And if it's not a Knight of Ren, well, who the hell is it? So it raises a lot of interesting questions. Pat Deary writes, could Knights of Ren be with Emperor in Death Star? Ooh. Oh. Did at some point Palpatine find the Knights of Ren and enlist them unbeknownst to Kylo Ren? It's a bit of a stretch, Pat, but I'm going to say possible. It would explain a few things. For instance, it looked like Kylo was fighting a Knight of Ren. If that's what we saw, that would make sense. So I'd be down for that. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Where are we at here? Hold on a second. I just got to take care of something. Okay. Where are we at? Logan Astrup writes, JJ said 9 will tie in all 3 trilogies. Do you think we'll find out something about Sidious that we didn't know during the time of the prequels? Well, I mean, tying, at least to me, Logan, tying in all the trilogies doesn't mean revealing new things from all the trilogies. It could quite probably mean just leveraging things we know from the different trilogies and using all of that to tie it together. It doesn't necessarily mean discovering new information or discovering new things, right? Not necessarily. So, could there be new revelations about Palpatine? It's possible. I think it's more likely it's just going to leverage information we already know, but finding out new things, like for instance, the whole connection between him and Anakin, that could be something that they've talked about in different mediums in Star Wars lately, but they haven't addressed in the movies. Maybe that's something they reveal here. It's totally possible. Okay. Vegetable Tube writes, new droid Dio, face similar to Spy. That's exactly what I thought. That's exactly what I thought. When I saw that little thing's face for the first time, I immediately thought of Spy versus Spy. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, Mad Magazine, classic characters, Spy versus Spy, white versus black. Anyway, that's exactly what I thought. I'll be a little bit disappointed if we don't find out that was at least a little bit of their motivation there. But that's exactly what I thought, dude. Okay. Razor's Edge Frisbee writes, man, for me, all they had to do was show that really quick shot of Kylo stabbing that dude with the hilt of his lightsaber, and I would have ruined my pants. There's definitely stuff in there. Again, the question I'm bringing up right now, was that a Knight of Ren or was that somebody else? If it was a Knight of Ren, why are they fighting their own master? If it wasn't the Knight of Ren, who the hell was that guy? So many questions. But yes, that was a pretty good shot. Matthew Bravo writes, what if Rey is Anakin reincarnated? I don't buy the reincarnation stuff. Would explain the cave vision and why we haven't seen his Force ghost. Not really. The Force ghost, because we don't know what the rules of Force ghosts are. Remember, Luke had been alone on that island for decades until Yoda finally appeared, right? So we don't need an explanation as to why Anakin hasn't appeared anywhere. And I don't buy the reincarnation stuff. I really don't. Is it conceivable? Sure. But it's not personally one that I buy into myself. So I don't think they're going to go in that direction. I really don't. But now watch. That's exactly what they do. Let's find out. Bart Allen writes, could the title refer to Finn's unknown parentage? To Finn? No. Is Finn suddenly a Skywalker? No, I don't think so. There's no Force sensitivity there. Not that just, even if he was a Skywalker, that would automatically mean he has Force sensitivity, I guess. But no, I don't think it has anything to do with Finn. Razor's Edge Frisbee writes, Kylo is such an underappreciated villain, in my opinion. I agree. I think he's an underappreciated. I think look, he's a fascinating character. He's a different kind of character than we usually get in our villains, and I've appreciated that. So, yeah, look, is he Vader? No, he's not Vader, but I do believe he's a little bit underappreciated. I agree. Band Squirrel 9 writes, maybe referring to Palpatine as the Skywalker. I don't see how. Shmi is the original Skywalker. Huh. I have a feeling, Band Squirrel, that I would need to hear your whole explanation of that to build that theory. Like, off the top of my head, it doesn't make sense, but maybe if you were to explain that a little bit more. Silent Kid writes, a cloned Anakin is the Skywalker that rises. Placing bet now. Just you wait. Then Rey will give him back his lightsaber, completing the circle. A cloned Anakin, huh? Well, I mean, here's the thing. That would be consistent with some of the stuff from the expanded universe. But just because it's expanded universe, I mean, expanded universe isn't canon, so they can draw on it if they choose. I got a feeling they won't. But again, Silent Kid, I don't think we're in a position that we can just discount any theory. I don't buy into this theory you're proposing, but I don't think we can discount it either. Because it does fit with a couple of other pieces, so it's a possibility. Again, I wouldn't bet on it, but it's certainly an interesting one we got to keep in mind. Okay, where are we at here? Shane Bennis writes, Finn has raised staff from The Force Awakens. Does he? I didn't even notice. I'll have to go back and look at that again. Austin Becker writes, could the robot Palpatine could be the robot Palpatine? Oh, from Battlefield 2. Oh, because in the trailer, in the beginning of Battlefield 2, we see this like, it's like a robot that has a pre-recorded message of Palpatine in it. I don't think they're going to do that. They seem to be suggesting he's there. So I don't think so, but I didn't even think about that, Austin. It's a good thought. Ryan Campbell writes, where are we at here? Don't forget, Palpatine's goal was to cheat death. Would be poetic that Luke achieves that goal in a way that the Emperor couldn't. Maybe. I mean, look, there's nothing you could have said, Ryan, that would make me more happy. I mean, that is something. However, there are a couple of problems with that. Number one, Luke was never searching for those answers. He's never researching that we know of. He was just simply there to hide. So I love where your head's at. I love the way you're thinking, but I don't think that's what they're doing. But wouldn't that be amazing if while deep in the Force, he discovered the way to come back? Oh my God. Fire hose. Okay, anyway. L. Cardin writes, I didn't know I missed seeing Lando. I know, right? Until you see him again, you didn't realize how much you missed. It took seeing him again for us to realize how much we missed him. Square Wheel writes, good, let the hate flow. Oh God, I want to hear him say something like that. At least just let me hear him say good. That would be so cool. Todd Wiggins writes, Palpatine crashed with the dish part of the Death Star with no way off planet. He created Rey like Anakin, knowing she would find him. So many questions. Again, that seems to be an evolving theory, Todd, that, what if he survived? If he survived, has he just been hiding out there? Maybe because he had no way off planet, or maybe just because he's needed to heal. Maybe it's taken him decades to heal. Did he then have a hand in the creation of Rey? Did he use a piece of Anakin Skywalker to clone Anakin Skywalker with remaining technology on the wreckage of the Death Star? I mean, the possibilities, dude, are endless. And you're right, man. So many questions. Spencer Smothers writes, what's your thoughts on the idea of Rey being cloned from Luke's hand? Personally, I can't see it. How would a clone be a new person and changes genders? Yeah, it makes no sense to me. That's definitely not a clone. It's definitely not a clone. That looks completely different and had two parents. And how did the clone suddenly disappear? Oops, hey, where'd that clone go? I don't know. I thought I put it down right there. I must have left it on the roof of the car. There's just so many problems surrounding the theory of Rey being the most imperfect clone ever created that it's just really not even something I really consider at this point. All right. Slevin89 writes, when Luke was younger, he found out that the Emperor had clones and destroyed the facility. It's possible that one made it out. Darth Vader probably killed a clone. Well, first of all, it's become really iffy as to what's canon and what's not. Because remember, Lucasfilm used to say, now everything is canon. And then they started breaking their own rules. It's like, well, most things are canon. And that was really frustrating to me. Because you can never count on anything that's in the video games or in the books or in the comics now. You can't count on them being canon because they did some things that weren't canon. At any rate, is it possible that what we're dealing with here is a clone of Palpatine? Possible. Is what we're dealing with here the true Palpatine and what Vader killed wasn't Palpatine? Positive. But if that's the case, where has he been all this time? There's a lot of different possibilities. Cloning is something that comes up a lot. I don't know if they're going to go in the cloning directions. Personally, I hope they don't. But, 89, it is possible. Daki Woods writes, just my thoughts. What if Rey is a Palpatine? And instead of a Palpatine corrupting a Skywalker corrupting a Palpatine, setting a new era of Force teaching. It's there. It's there. Because if she is a Palpatine, what does that mean for that scenario they just set up? Instead of a Palpatine corrupting a Skywalker, it's a Skywalker trying to corrupt a Palpatine. Boom, it turns the entire universe on its ear. Now, Rey being either a descendant of or a clone of Palpatine, again, is one of these theories that have been around since Star Wars Episode 7. I still remember very early discussions early on, even before The Force Awakens came out. It's like, okay, well, who's this Rey? Who is she? And there was a lot of theories. She's a descendant of Palpatine. I mean, obviously, a lot of people thought she's Luke's long-lost daughter, which they put that to rest. But There have been theories that, what if she's one of the offshoot clones of Palpatine? Which again, if she's a clone, why does she look like him? Anyway. Or maybe she's a descendant. Maybe Palpatine had seed across the galaxy. What if she's Palpatine's granddaughter? That's a possibility too. The point here, Daki, is that you're on safe ground because it's not a new theory. There have been other people who've had that theory. It is a possibility. The most interesting thing about that theory is what you brought up here. It's the turning on its ear, the notion of instead of the Palpatine corrupting a Skywalker, it's the other way around. That is fascinating to me. I still don't think Rey is anybody, though. I think it's important that she not be anybody special other than who she is as a person. I don't think her lineage should be an important thing. I don't think she should be connected to Obi-Wan or to Luke or to Palpatine. So I'm going to stick with that. However, the theory you propose has some merit to it and something we got to keep our eyes on. All right. Richard Karate writes, and I'm going to let you guys know right now, we're getting close to 2 hours and 45 minutes. I don't know how much longer I can go. I'm going to go for as long as I can. And any questions I don't get around to answering, don't worry. We'll address them in a follow-up video to this. We'll do a part 2 of this sometime this weekend. All the questions that get sent in today will be answered. I may just run out of voice because you guys know I've been struggling the last couple of days this week. If I don't get through everything, don't worry. We will get to your stuff probably later this weekend. All right. For now, I'm going to keep on soldiering ahead here. Richard Karate writes, with Palpatine telling snaking, he can stop people from dying. Did you mean Anakin? How did you write snaking? Anyway, I'm going to assume you mean Anakin. With Palpatine telling Anakin he can stop people from dying, Rise of the Skywalker means that Anakin found a way to stop death, and Anakin rises to fight his grandson Kylo in the final battle. Here's the problem. Anakin didn't discover anything before he died. Anakin died. So I think at that point it's too late. However, that doesn't preclude the fact that we could see a Force Ghost Anakin, because we saw Force Ghost Anakin in Return of the Jedi. So nothing there precludes that we may not see that. He may or may not confront Kylo, either in a conversation or in a battle. It's possible. I don't think so, but possible. But I don't think Anakin discovers the secret. Too late. He already died. So that's a little bit too far gone. But seeing him there and seeing a confrontation, totally possible. Just in a different realm of reality, I think. All right. Final couple of questions, guys. Kaylin Bryson writes, Phil Kent subbing force-choked Kylo. I'm missing something. I still don't know what that means. Sean, that's it, writes, what if Skywalker is a generational title, like people refer to Kobe and LeBron as the Jordan of their generation? Again, that seems to be an evolving theory here right from the beginning. There have been a lot of people this chat, Sean, that seem to share that idea that Skywalker becomes a new moniker that Force users use. No longer is it Jedi or Sith. Now it's I'm a Skywalker. That seems to one make sense. I give that one as much credence as any of the other ones we've talked about or heard about here today, so it's something we should keep our eyes on. I think it's totally got, out of all the theories, none of which I buy into, but of all the theories, that one's up near the top of the ones that I think are most likely, but we'll see how that evolves. All right, Jacob King writes, it's good to see that Ian McDiarmid is still getting work these days, even though it might just be voiceover. Dude, he's constantly been working. He's been doing stage and television. He's been working. I love seeing Ian McDiarmid pop up there, and I don't think it's just a voiceover. I'm telling you, I think he's in this movie. I think he has a prominent place in this movie. I'm excited about it. It was the big moment to me. That stage, the lights on the stage come up, and he's there. Oh my God, that is pretty freaking awesome. All right, Frank Bono writes, shocked they didn't show the Knights of Ren, but did they? Was that one guy that Kylo chokeslammed, was that a Knight of Ren? It may have been. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But it very well may have been. Gregory Drop writes, hey, John, love it. I hope Skywalkers continue as a family. Sounds like that's not the case. They sound pretty definitive. They're wrapping up the Star Wars saga. The family line is coming to a close. But who knows? Maybe there's another kid. Maybe Kylo and Rey have a kid, which seems weird, but maybe that's what happens. Lots of different possibilities moving forward, Gregory. Okay. Last question of the day, guys. Sorry, not only has it been 2 hours and 45 minutes, but I did an hour-long John Campea Show earlier today, so my throat has 3 hours and 45 minutes. I'm getting close to 4 hours. I pretty much hit my limit here. So last question of the day, and then don't worry, guys. I'm going to gather up all these unused ones, and we'll do a part 2 to this video later. Every question you sent in will get answered in a video, I promise. Okay. Urban Excursion. I like that name, writes. Trailer didn't get me off the fence. In my opinion, Kylo is the true underdog in this trilogy because he's 0-2 against Rey, so I will be rooting for him to win. I don't know about that. Look, you got to remember, the first fight against Rey, that was a no-win situation. He was dying. He was bleeding out. He was shot in the abdomen with a shot from Chewbacca's bowcaster, which, remember, was hitting stormtroopers and sending them flying 50 feet across rooms. That's what he got shot with. He was literally bleeding out and dying. So I would not count that as a loss against Rey, to be honest with you. Not at all. And in the second bout, he actually kind of won. Rey got away, but he won that fight. I think at the end of the day, I mean, at the very worst, you call it a draw. At the very worst, you call that one a draw. So I personally wouldn't count him as 0-2 against Rey at this point. What we have not seen yet, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier, what we have not seen yet is the notion of a full-strength Kylo versus a truly full-strength Rey. We haven't had that yet. And that is something that Episode 9 seems to give us a possibility of. A full-strength Kylo versus a full-strength Rey. And if they do, I think that's the perfect way to end this trilogy. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. We'll find out soon enough. You know, I'm going to try to push you with just one or two more if I can, guys. Nick Harris writes, it looks like the last shot before Palpatine's laugh is of Rey looking at a crashed Death Star. Yeah, again, something I missed when I first watched it, but a lot of you guys have brought it up, and I think you're absolutely right. I think we're looking at wreckage from a Death Star. Maybe what Palpatine is? Taco Buddy writes, I was completely stunned after watching the Star Wars teaser today. That laugh, dude, the laugh is everything. Like, look, I already thought, hey, this trailer's fine. This trailer's solid. It's good. Mission accomplished. It did what it needed to do. But when the laugh came, it was like, okay, now I'm on board. Like, it was fine. It was solid. It was good. But then they threw in that laugh. Totally changed the narrative of it for me, Taco Buddy. Let's see. Victor Dresna writes, Droid Lives Matter, Solo a Star Wars story. I got no problem with multiracial stuff. It's forced repping that gets so many of us. Not all progress is toxic. Dude, seriously. The one example you're going to pull on is the droid thing from Solo. Dude, everybody was bitching and complaining about Force Awakens, Last Jedi, blah, blah, blah. And the only thing you can point to isn't even something that's in anything else, but it's Solo, and it's a droid talking about droid slavery. Really? If that's the only thing you have to point to, then you have to acknowledge that there's nothing to point to. If that's the thing you got to point to, then you have to acknowledge that there's nothing to point to. That was a gag. A droid saying that about robots was a gag. And if that's the only thing you can point to, and that is the only thing you can point to in all the new Star Wars movies, then all you're left with is that there's no point to be made. Because it's not there. It's non-existent. It's been made up by people who have an agenda against including people. And that's all that's left. Anyway, now last question of the day will come to us from Kevin Rubio. And Kevin Rubio writes, interesting to note in George's original writing pre-first draft that original Force users were known as the Skywalkers. You know what, Kevin? Now that you mention that, I think I remember something about that. Dude, I'm glad I kept going a couple more questions. That may have just unlocked the entire meaning of this title. That the original Force users were known as the Skywalkers. Interesting. That is the most fascinating thing that I think we've talked about today, Kevin. I think that is probably the most fascinating thing we've talked about today. Because that gives a lot more credibility, if you will, to the notion that Rise of the Skywalker is a term for a new breed of Force users, that they're just known as the Skywalker. That seems to feed into that. It doesn't automatically mean anything. Obviously it doesn't, but that's really intriguing. I like that a lot. Okay, guys, listen, I got to wrap it up here just because I've honestly run out of voice. I got no more, and I can't risk completely wrecking my throat again. I've already been doing almost 4 hours today of this stuff, so I need to pump the brakes on it. But guys, everybody from Alan, Darth Sidious, Ali Cruz, Darth Sidious, all the way down, do not worry, guys. Your questions are going to get answered in a part two of this video later this weekend. Keep your eyes open for it because it is coming. They will get addressed. I've just run out of gas for my voice. Who knew that we could talk, 3 hours about a 2-minute trailer, and there was still lots more to talk about. And guys, I'm sure we're gonna have lots more to talk about over the coming days and weeks and obviously months, talking about Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Again, guys, if you're watching this after the fact, jump down to the comment section below, leave your thoughts. Love to hear what you guys are thinking. Guys, that will do it for me today. Thanks for giving me a fun outlet to talk about everything we just saw. My name is John Campea, guys, and until my next show, bye-bye.